Starting stream. This broadcast is brought to you by the one and only High Dive. High Dive is sure to be one of your favorite options for streaming anime online. With dubcast episodes, you're going to be able to watch your favorite Sentai Filmworks series as they air in Japan, fully dubbed in English, which is pretty amazing. Also, they have fall exclusive anime titles and a really amazing price tag at only $5 per month. High Dive is sure to be one of your favorite online anime streaming services that you're going to want to have in your arsenal. So head over to highdive.com, and when you use the promo code AAAPodcast, you're going to get 50% off your first month of service, which is going to let High Dive know that we sent you over there, so that helps us out as well. So make sure to head over to highdive.com right now. Also, this podcast is brought to you by J-List. As always, J-List has their December snack boxes available. You can get a taste of Japanese culture with a box full of Japanese snacks, perfect for enjoying while you watch your favorite anime shows. You can get snacks such as Frito-Lay's Dragon Potato Chips, which are red hot chili pepper flavor, spicy mayonnaise rice crackers, Crown of Melon Bread cookies, Pokemon chocolate cookies, Haichu Kaki flavor, and so many more different items in the J-List December snack box. So you can watch your anime while you eat your Japanese snacks all at the same time. So head over to jlist.com to get their snack box. And now it's time to start the podcast.
来てくれてありがとう. You're listening to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Take your anime addiction to the next level at AAAPodcast.com/join. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hello, and what is up, everybody? Welcome to the 448th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast for November 25th. I am your host, Mitsugi, and I am joined by a beautiful man. He's probably in his underwear right now. He is... I'm going to let you know. He's wearing his Marvel Comics Captain America little sweet little underwear in his little frozen New York City apartment. What is up, my Enzo?
That's your Enzo's doing pretty okay. I'm also really happy to be here after a week off. Sorry about that, but it was for a good cause. We were doing good things with the podcast. Happy to be here, and it is so cold in New York, guys. I'm actually with sweatpants on for the first time in a long time.
Oh, so you're not in your underwear?
No, I'm not. It's cold.
I don't know how I feel about this. Also, we have the wonderful Mandy, and she is currently being encroached upon by her lovely and cute cat, who may make an appearance on the podcast. Mandy, how art thou this day from Cincinnati?
I am doing great. And if I sound distant, it's because I'm talking about Pokemon in the chat.
Oh, yes. So, Pokemon is in the air on this day. And this podcast, you know what?
I got back to Pokemon Go and Pokemon Let's Go. So, yeah.
I'm sure that's going to be a recurring theme on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It's a recurring theme on this podcast. Mandy, Mandy, why don't you let them know what the podcast mission is?
Oh, to make your anime addiction worse. Worser.
Worser?
More worse.
To make it
worse. Worsesto.
To make your addiction
Worcesto sauce.
And of course, guys, you can head over to our website, AAAPodcast.com, which is running a lot better than it has in a long time due to some really good optimization and some enhancements that we've made to the website. So you can head over there. If you want to support the podcast, we just recorded a Hobby Addicts episode for you. We talked about The Haunting at Hill House, which is a new Netflix series, and we're going to be doing an after party after this show. If you want to get the something around 500 exclusive podcast episodes off of our website, you can go to AAAPodcast.com/join, which is going to help make sure that this podcast continues to exist and make sure that you never, ever run out of listening to our voice. You will constantly be inundated with our voices, always.
Listen to me always.
Even in your dreams. And of course, we also have the Discord or right along the top of the website, there's a button that says join the Discord. That takes you straight to our Discord channel, so you can join up with the around 800 people now are in there. So it's becoming a pretty big Discord. So definitely head over there.
Today I woke up and there was literally like 7 people joined the Discord at the same time, and I was like, "Holy crap, it's getting crazy."
Well, the reason that happened was because I tweeted about the Discord, and like 5 or 6 people joined immediately. So probably should just do frequent tweets about the Discord, which probably would get us up to 1,000 or more pretty quickly.
Ooh, the big 4 digits.
And of course, we have manga. We have Mandy's manga club on there. So what are you guys talking about right now?
We just did Kokoro Connect. Now we are reading Lone Wolf and Child, and we will be discussing that on December 5th.
How do you guys pick the anime that you're gonna read next? How does that get determined?
You mean my manga?
That's what I meant. That's exactly what I meant.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lone Wolf and Cub. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. I just look up just manga for us to read. And sometimes if somebody recommends something to me, but I only choose ones that have official translations so that no one's forced to read a scan. Unless, of course, it's online for free. Then it's free game, but
gotcha.
I don't want to support scans, so.
So today we're going to be doing an Anime NYC recap. We just spent a week in New York. We have lots of stories from the trip, both at the con and not at the con. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff relating to our trip. We're also going to be doing a review on Revue Starlight. We were going to do My Hero Academia 3, but we thought since Kazuo could not be with us today, he would be literally heartbroken. He would drown in a river of his own tears should he not be able to review his beloved My Hero Academia. So we thought we'd wait for him. So we're doing Revue Starlight, which we're all very fresh on because we just did it at the anime convention. So we're going to be talking about that. Also, I am getting very close to leaving Florida, and by that I mean it could happen within a month. And so we will maybe be heading to 4-way split screen pretty soon. So we need to. God,
technology.
We need to start deciding how in the world that is going to be possible. So we need to figure that out post haste. But the point being, you may have Mandy and Enzo in live moving color. Believe it or not.
We could be live-oo?
It's
live-oo. Moving good. Color. Yeah.
Color.
So look forward to that coming up very soon.
We just weebed out just now.
Yup.
And with that, let's get to the big news of the week.
Hit me.
大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
All right, so there's a very funny article. If either of you have the chat open, I think it's always maybe you post links to all of our crap in the chat anyway, but it might be a good idea.
I can.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I was gonna do it, but then I was like, I don't have the chat open, so.
Enzo's got it.
So Pokemon already came up once today, and it's gonna come up again right now. There is a Pokemon hunting grandpa who is known as the Pokemon hunting grandpa, who uses 15 smartphones to catch his Pokemon in Pokemon Go.
Dude, this guy's a legend.
If you open up the link, there's a picture of him with his bicycle, and it is absolutely hilarious. This is definitely like a special interest piece for sure.
What?
Yeah,
dude,
this guy is crazy.
You're telling me that this Oji-san is on a bicycle.
Oh, he's an Oji-san.
Riding through the streets of Japan with
Taiwan. He's in Taiwan.
In Taiwan. With this is like some next level DIY tech. He has this like great thing on the handles of his bicycle where he has legitimately like 15 phones on there.
So he has a 70-year-old Taiwanese man named Chen San-yuan who has apparently he started his mission to capture all the Pokemon with a single phone. Then he had 3.
As most of us do. Yes.
Then he had 6. Then he had 9. And now he has 15. And he has his phones arranged in a fan shape that there's some kind of a circular device that attaches to the handlebars of his bicycle. And he has all of the phones attached to this this disc of sorts. And all of the phones are attached to mobile batteries that he has hanging in the basket of the bicycle. So they're all powered at all times. And he rides around with 15 literally an interface of 15 phones, and I guess I'm sure there's times where he's trying to catch like 4 Pokemon at once. He's probably just such a badass. He's like just swiping all over the place. And I guess you can see him in New Taipei City if you want to see him catching all types of Pokemon.
I can't like aren't there like gyms and raids and stuff you can do in Pokemon Go?
Dude, okay, so I came back to Pokemon Go.
What?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah, and they added so much stuff. Yeah, they have raids now, and there's like, it'll tell you if there's a raid nearby. And at the gyms, this big egg shows up, and then everyone who's there will have a chance to fight this super powerful Pokemon that hatches out. And then if you beat it, you get like special items, and you have a chance to capture it.
Yo, this guy definitely sell those at 100%.
But I wonder how that works. Because can he tap all of them at the same time?
Oh, he's probably battling with like 10 Pokemon at once. What a badass.
Dude, this guy is like, the modern Pokemon master. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is it. Like, this is the pinnacle of what we all dream of being. An old man on a bike with 15 cell phones playing Pokemon Go.
The Pokemon master.
Like, how are you going to train to be the very best if you can't even do 15 phones at the same time? You know what I'm saying?
He probably calls little kids over to help him battle. He'll be like, hey, you take these 3 phones, and you take these 3 phones, and I'll take these. And he's just got like little kids standing on his shoulders and shit.
This is insane. I'm so proud of him, honestly.
Yeah, what does his cell phone bill look like is what I want to know.
What does his cell phone bill look like? I can only imagine.
He might be really wealthy, and I'm guessing he is wealthy.
He's probably
Does
retired,
he carry around 15 battery packs? So you can charge them all at the same time?
If you read the article, it says he has each phone is connected to a battery that he has sitting in the basket of his bike.
Oh, man.
So
yeah, the standard to be a Pokemon master has just quadrupled, boys. If you don't have 15 cell phones, don't even try.
But I mean, some of the Pokemon are regional, right? So he can't possibly capture all the Pokemon unless he goes outside of Japan or outside of Taiwan. So he's gonna have to be like in the U.S. and Europe and Japan and Australia to get all these. You can
trade now, but I think you have to be near the person to trade. So if he found somebody who has like a Farfetch'd or a Tauros, he can trade with them. But I can't remember if you can hatch those out or not. I don't know if they show up in raids too. Not sure.
Well, I wish Mr. Oji-san the best of luck in his capturing.
He doesn't need your luck, man. He got it down.
Shall we move on?
Let's do it.
Prepare for trouble.
Make it double. Shut up! You haven't had one useful thing to say since you got here.
All right, so there was an article that came out a week or so ago. Came out on November 13th called it's an article by It Media where a journalist explains why anime discs are not selling well. Apparently, the anime physical media industry in Japan especially has been doing very poorly in the last few years, and there has been a shrink in the market of over 30% between 2014 and 2016 alone. So things aren't going well for physical media sales in Japan, and we all know that a lot of studios, at least as of the last 5 years, had make a lot of their profits after the show finishes airing on things like merchandise sales, which include Blu-rays and whatnot.
Correct.
So, which initially to me seemed kind of alarming because there was that data point that they discussed where they said, oh well, after some anime finishes airing, we're at a negative 10% profit or whatever it was, but then because of Netflix's shows would finish airing at like a positive 5% or whatever. So that was those numbers. They're rough numbers. But then the ones that were at negative 10% would ostensibly become profitable by selling DVDs and figures and posters and stuff like that. So it was kind of concerning to me, and it looks like, according to this article, the article, by the way, is called quote, "Some titles have even halted their home video release. Is the anime disc dying?" So that's the name of the article. I guess some anime have completely ceased publishing their DVDs and Blu-rays altogether because they're not selling at all.
Yeah, so this is really interesting that this has come up. Like this article came out relatively close to Black Friday, because here's what I've realized about myself. And when I say myself, is that I love anime. That's a given. I love it to death. I have some figures, but I've never bought a Blu-ray before. Like, it's not something that I crave. It's not something that I've ever wanted. However, this past Black Friday,
Yeah.
Sentai Filmworks there had a ridiculous sale on their Blu-rays,
They sure did.
like a dumb sale. So like I myself went on their website, a man who has never bought Blu-rays before, and bought two, because I found Kids on the Slope, the complete edition Blu-ray, for $10.
Whoa.
And I found the Tanaka-kun Is Always Listless Blu-ray, standard complete edition, for like $10.
So we know Tanaka-kun isn't going out, because I bought one too.
Yeah, so like I immediately bought them. So to me, I feel as though like people are hesitant on Blu-rays, not because it's not a thing they want, but because it's a price point that they can't like justify. And I'm someone who's pretty comfy with my like income and living and stuff, like, and I still don't think it's worth paying $60 or $45 for a Blu-ray if it's something I've already seen. However, you give me $10 or $15 price tag, and I'm buying all the ones from the ones I like, dude, easily. You know what I'm saying? So unless Blu-rays become more efficient to make, and companies can drop that price point, I can't argue the fact that I can't argue that findings are coming out that it's a dying product.
Well, I personally have no interest in this at all. There was a time and a place where I was really interested in collecting anime DVDs. I actually have around 600 anime DVDs in my place, and I have them in these books, right? And I threw out all the cases a long time ago, because I was like, well, I don't want to have 7 cardboard boxes full of jeweled cases for these DVDs. I just don't care. So I have them in these books, and now I don't even want the DVDs. And it's one of the only, and like, I've sold everything I own in my place. My place is literally empty. I sold my last piece of furniture today, and I have these DVD books, and they've got hundreds of DVDs in them, and I know they're worth around $1, $1, maybe $2 a DVD, but I haven't sold them because I don't even want to bother writing down what they all are. But I don't even want these DVDs, because I know I haven't used them in years, because every single thing I ever want to watch, period, is on some service. I don't need them.
Right.
In fact,
exactly.
In fact, I have a million pieces of technology in my place. I'm staring at 3 computers and a tablet as we speak, and not one of them can play any of these discs. None of them can. The only device I have in my entire place, and I feel like my place is like a Best Buy, by the way, the only thing I have that can play any of these is my PlayStation 4. That's it.
That's all I have. That's all I have. That the only reason I bought the Blu-rays is because I actually have a PS4, and that's the only reason I did it.
And now, like, Microsoft is talking about how their next console, and I'll be honest, I don't even know why Microsoft's making another console, but
oh snap!
Well, they're getting massacred so brutally.
True.
But they've said that's a different point entirely. But they said our next console most likely will not have a disc drive in it, and they tried to pull this about 4 or 5 years ago, but we weren't quite ready for it yet. I think there's a really good chance that in like the next 5 to 10 years, you won't even be able to play a Blu-ray. It's going to be like VHS. Like you can't play a VHS tape.
Yeah.
So
it's really strange that how this is going down in Japan, because we know that their Blu-rays are so much more expensive than ours, and I could be wrong, but I always thought the reason behind that was just because so few people buy them that they hike up the prices for collectors, so they can still make the money back on making them. But if no one's interested in Blu-rays, I wonder I guess lowering the price wouldn't solve the problem then, because Enzo was saying if you made it like $10, and maybe a lot of people would, but we probably would here, but I don't know if that would work in Japan.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even take one of these discs for free, because I don't want to have this. I'm not going to be able to play them in 5 more years at all, and I don't want to have all this shit laying around my place. So personally, I know I'm kind of an outlier because I'm a minimalist, but like I'm not going to be able to play them.
Yeah, I feel you from that perspective, because I'm not fully in the minimalist side of things. Like I do have if I call myself a minimalist and you see my bedroom, as you know, it's not the case. But I am against like huge cluttering of things. The only reason I could say that I would purchase, sorry, that I would purchase Blu-rays at a $10, $15 price tag is solely to support the shows I like, right? So like,
Oh, for sure.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like and since I had a million, a lot of DVDs I really enjoyed the animes too, but I only bought Kids on the Slope and Tanaka-kun because those two shows are in my like top 20 anime of all time. So like I was like, yeah, you know what? Like I've never given these shows money before in terms of figures or merchandise or anything.
Yeah.
Aside from my Crunchyroll views or my whatever streaming site views.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, you know what? This is the time. Take my $10, dude. Like, thank you for this great show. So that's why I did it. And then I also, you know what? My next point is probably gonna go past physical things. So Mandy, what's your point?
Oh, I was going to ask. Oh shoot! Now I forgot what I was trying to say.
So
Okay.
I had it, and I was waiting for you to finish.
so
Sorry,
don't-
go ahead.
If it comes back to you, let us know.
Okay, yeah.
If the article goes on and says that these production committees that normally would be freaking out about the lack of disc sales have shifted their profits for focus to other areas. And one of those areas is streaming services. So they're making money by allowing these anime to be put on various streaming services. And Japan has their own streaming services, by the way, in addition to ones that we know of. So they're making money by allowing the licensing fees of getting their stuff on whatever
Right.
service.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Was don't they make the like majority of their money off of the physical sales? I've always heard that was a thing.
Well, so that was my concern, was that
Yeah.
if not that, how do they make their money? And it looks like
Yeah, exactly.
the article cites at least two things that could replace the physical disc sales. And granted, there's also like figures and whatnot too, right? And one of those is streaming rights which are replacing discs, and also companies like Cygames, like the cell phone game company, have been pumping huge amounts of money into anime properties for their own promotional purposes. And so when you think of anime like Rage of Bahamut, shows like that are becoming very profitable because game companies are pushing money into that in order to promote their games. And so which I don't love, because that kind of makes me feel like anime is kind of whoring itself out as just being a promo, which I don't love that. But I mean, if the studio needs to make money to continue existing, so if it needs to take some kind of amount of money from Cygames or the Puzzle Dragons company or whatever, Gung Ho or whatever, if it needs to take money from one of these other companies, then I mean, do it, I guess, because they need to make money. But that's what the article cites as some potential
That also
ways.
explain why we have so many idol shows, because they also make a lot of money off CDs and the gacha games on mobile devices.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I wonder, like, and just to wrap it up to get to like the next portion of the podcast, but like, is the future, like, for the people that want to own their anime, like, is the future just like full-fledged digital downloads? And like, there are digital downloads out there that are really beautiful. Like, in terms of digital, like things I buy digitally, most of the time it's music, and iTunes does put together like really beautiful like digital downloads of certain albums. Like, as long as the record companies put the effort into making something beautifully, digitally packaged. So I feel like, like if physical copies are going off, but going away, but people still want to own their animes, I don't think it costs people, companies that much more money to just put those files on a digital platform and then just invest, which is a fraction of the cost of making things digital, invest in like digital goods that can come with those digital downloads. I think that's probably like the future. I think in the future I'm going to be able to go on the Sentai website and be like, yes, I want Kids on the Slope digitally, and then maybe like with that digital download I get like a music score sheet to one of the jams in the show, or like like a really cool wallpaper or whatever, things like that. I don't know, but I think that's probably that's where I see things going if people still want to own their anime.
I think there are a few more points to be had from this. One of them is that, like, after talking with Peter Payne from J-List at length about this, we've had discussions about where a Japanese game company will try to get them to sell just some game in the United States for, like, you know, an insane amount of money that we'll never pay, right?
I think you're about to say exactly what I was going to say.
And then
visual novels.
Peter Payne says he tries to be like this medium to convey American purchasing behavior to the Japanese companies because they just don't get it. Like, we're not going to pay $300 for a game, right? Or we're not going to pay $300 for a Blu-ray. And so, like, they, you know, they'll sell that Blu-ray in Japan for $300, and then they'll come over here to the United States and they'll sell it for 10% of that. They don't need to sell these DVDs in Japan for $1 billion. They just don't. Like, it's not like they cost that much to manufacture and they have a 10% margin. So they could always reduce the prices if they want to make sure that these discs continue to, like, exist. Because because, like, if an anime is streaming, if it's not on TV anymore, and it's just streaming and not being sold on disc, all these anime have licensing durations on services like Crunchyroll.
They have a shelf life.
They have a shelf life, and when that licensing deal expires and it's not on TV anymore, if you don't have physical discs floating around, I mean, is it not possible that some anime could completely vanish because there's no way to see it anymore because it's not digital? It's not digital and it's not physical.
Dude, Honey and Clover, bro. I mean, like, Honey. I don't know if there's DVDs. It probably are, but, like, Honey and Clover, for example, in terms of, like, streaming sites, it's nowhere. It's nowhere. It's nowhere, and that's one of my top 20 anime of all time. It's nowhere. Like, it is nowhere. You can't watch it on any streaming site.
What I've seen some visual novels do recently with the PS Vita is they're not sure if they're going to sell enough copies physically, so they'll make it available digitally. And if you're really interested, you can buy the box set, which has, like, a digital code and a bunch of goodies that they send to you. It's like just character goodies. And what you were saying before about, like, if I ordered this, like, on digitally on Sentai and then they give me, like, a bunch of digital stuff, I could see them also doing that where you buy it digitally, but they also send you, like, a box of stuff in the mail.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, like,
I could see it going that way.
I could see that happening too for things like, oh, like the next Final Fantasy comes out, there's no disc, you buy digitally, but if you pay an additional, you know, I don't know, like, or Kingdom Hearts 3. Say Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't have a physical copy. It's coming out digitally, but if you pay a certain amount of money, you get Sora, Donald, Goofy, and figures.
Yeah. Like, that would, because, I mean, collectors are always going to want physical stuff. Editions. I mean, they'll always pay a lot of money for that stuff. So I could definitely see them offering it digitally if they want to make more money. And if they're not comfortable creating so many physical copies of the show, you know, creating a box of stuff they can send to you.
Right. Yeah. Because then at least you feel like you're not buying the same thing again. Right. Because when I bought these Blu-rays, I'm probably not even going to open the wrap. I only did it to support these two franchises, right? Because I've already seen the shows. You know what I mean? So, like, at least, like, you know, you bought the game, you already got that. You don't have to buy the game again to get the goodies. So yeah.
The last point from the article was that they believe that it's possible that the sales dollars of discs is dropping because of the number of anime that are coming out. Because there's so many anime that are available now per year, the anime titles are getting really watered down. Like, there's so many anime titles available that
we talk about that all the time.
No one show is able to catch fire the way that it might have when it was a huge standout. And so they cite in several years ago, 10 years ago, the anime disc market was $750 million in Japan across 155 titles. In 2016, it was $440 million, which is $300 million less across over 100 additional titles. So
okay, yeah, so it's definitely a decline.
They're saying that the addition of titles is actually hurting the sales because people aren't so invested in any one title anymore that they're willing to go out and buy the Blu-rays or whatever. So whereas every single human being alive bought Dragon Ball, you know, now there's just so many things that people's attention are split so many different ways that no one's going out and just selling, you know, buying all kinds of stuff. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just sort of like a piece of speculation that they made.
No, I can see that because, you know, if me who's not a Blu-ray guy, if I'm going to buy one Blu-ray at a full price, it's going to be one. You know, I want to buy one, maybe two, out of the 20 that I liked this last year. Right?
You have to care a lot about it to drop that huge amount of money on it.
Exactly. That's after the step that I already liked this show so much. So after I picked the 3 shows I loved, am I gonna buy the 3 Blu-rays for these? I don't know, because they all exist at the same time, and I don't really want to drop that kind of cash.
Well, maybe that just goes back to our point of let's have less anime. Less anime, more quality.
The point that we always harp on is that less anime, bigger quality. Let's get this shit done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, shall we move on to Enzo's favorite segment?
Yeah, let's do it.
皆さんおめでとうございます Join us in Enzo Senpai's Notice Me Corner.
All right, so this is my segment, Enzo Senpai's Notice Me Corner, where you guys can write in and tell me and my co-hosts about things you've been working on, things you want to say that you've achieved in recent times or in your whole lifetime. We just want to celebrate you guys because truly, especially after this last weekend at the con, we really do this for you. So this week's message comes from Bin-chan. Oh, Bin-chan that I recognize from the Discord, actually. And Bin-chan says, "Hi, AAA fam. Just wanted to say thank you for everything you do. I've been a listener for 2 years now. It is the highlight of my week, and I love all the AAA fam. I have been an anime fan since I was 12 years old. Growing up with anime all these years has taught me a lot. Anime has been with me in the ups and downs and all the milestones in my life. I also decided I wanted to become a chef when I was 12, and anime had enticed my love for Japan and its food culture at this young age. Fast forward to now 32 years old, married and still loving anime with the utmost passion. I have made my dream possible and opened my own restaurant with my wife and a great team. We are currently getting great reviews, and the restaurant is getting busier by the day. Does this cut? I owe anime a lot for teaching me to never give up and always follow your dreams. I also want to say thank you to you guys for helping me get through these stressful times on our road to success. P.S. I want to hug Mitsugi, want to cook for Enzo, have a coffee with Mandy, and party with Kazuo. Love, Bin-chan." Dude, you know how crazy? Like, I've always wanted to open up my own restaurant. It seems like such a rewarding experience that people enjoy the things you make. So congratulations for opening your restaurant. The link to the restaurant is freelurestaurant.com, FRILU restaurant.com. Check that place out if you guys have it near you. Check out the AAA fans, restaurant. Bin-chan, congratulations. That's
congratulations
awesome.
And send food.
Yeah,
that's
and
pretty
please
awesome.
Cook for me. If you tell me where the restaurant is, I'll go.
Cook for me and let's snuggle.
Yeah, cook for me. Then when you're done on your break, you can go have a coffee with Mandy, and then you can hug Mitsugi before he sends you off to party with Kazuo, which we all know you won't come back from. So
congratulations. The restaurant business is so difficult. Like, it's such a competitive, fierce industry that being a success and having good reviews and being busier and busier by the day, as you say, is such a big achievement because it's so difficult. So congratulations. That's really that's a really good accomplishment. Omedetou gozaimasu. Okay. You feeling all lovey now, Enzo?
Yeah, man. I really listen, not to toot our horn here, but I really love this segment. Even though it's brand new, it just makes me happy that such cool people listen to our podcast. I'm
glad it makes you happy. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. Let them know all about it. All right. Are you ready to move on?
Let's do it.
It's time for hot new anime releases.
All right, so we got a couple good ones here. Fruits Basket is getting a new anime adaptation in 2019.
It is.
It will adapt Fruits Basket's manga in its entirety.
Ooh, so faithful to the manga. Interesting. Okay.
Not just so I saw Fruits Basket years ago. I'm guessing that back then it was not the entire manga.
Oh no, it's not.
And so
there's
now
a lot more.
they're going to cover all of it this time. Funimation has already licensed it. For those of you that don't know what Fruits Basket is, from my anime list, Toru Honda is an orphan with nowhere to go but a tent in the woods until the Soma family takes her in. However, the Soma family is no ordinary family, and they hide a grave secret. When they are hugged by someone of the opposite gender, they turn into animals from the Chinese zodiac. Now Toru must help Kyo and Yuki Soma hide their curse from their classmates, as well as her friends Arisa and Megumi. As she is drawn further into the mysterious world of the Soma family, she meets more of the family, forging friendships along the way. and I believe, if I recall, some pretty like dark secrets and things like that. So definitely a classic. Are we pumped for this?
That was such an anime plotline. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When they
Have
hug
you never
someone.
seen
Oh
Fruit
no, I've seen it.
Baskets?
I've seen the original. Yeah. But it's just funny because the thing is, like, anime has become so, like, some anime take themselves so seriously nowadays. So it's refreshing to
Yeah.
hear the plot line: when they are hugged by someone of the opposite gender, they turn into the animals from the Chinese zodiac.
And when Kazuo was hugged by Mitsuki, he recoils in horror. Into the corner.
Exactly.
He's Manny, do you recognize any of the voice talent that I wrote down here?
Yeah, I recognize 3 of them. I was looking at what Manaka Iwami has done, but I haven't seen really any of these really.
Gamers.
I've seen some of Gamers, but I don't remember that character. But Toru Honda is being played by Manaka Iwami, who was in Gamers. She played Chiaki in Gamers.
Oh, the
She's the
president.
only one I don't really recognize.
Okay.
Not the president. Not the president.
No, she was the one with the cell phone game.
Yeah. Yep.
Yuki Soma is being played by Nobunaga Shimazaki, who is Haru in Free. Kyo Soma is being played by Yuma Uchida, who's also Ash in Banana Fish.
Nice.
And Shigure Soma is being played by Yuichi Nakamura, who is everything.
Who is everything?
He's in Osamatsu-san, he's in Durarara, he's in Arakawa Under the Bridge. He's in everything you can imagine.
All right, so I'm guessing a lot of people are excited for this new Fruits Basket. Personally, I am not a big fan of Fruits Basket, but I recognize its popularity, so I know people are going to be, super excited to see it. So
I will for sure watch this.
I'm sure we're going to end up covering it. The other announcement is that My Hero Academia's All Might Rising is getting an anime adaptation. So I guess this is there is a All Might's side story, like his past, is going to be chronicled in a Blu-ray release that's going to come with the My Hero Academia movie Futari no Hero, which means 2 heroes. So when you buy the 2 heroes My Hero Academia movie, you're going to get an additional disc that contains a special OVA of All Might Rising, which is that portion of the manga that covers his past, and that's going to be coming out on February 13th. For those of you that don't know the release date, so it seems like anytime any news from My Hero Academia surfaces, it has to be discussed because of how it's like the #1 most popular thing right now. So, yeah,
I agree. It is worth mentioning. I mean, like you cover a lot of the fan base, like a lot of like the anime fan base when you share some My Hero news.
Okay. Yeah. So, would anybody like to do the trivia?
Yeah, I got it. So, on the website, AAAPodcast.com, we will always have a question at the bottom of the website where you can answer. And if you get the question right, we shout you out on the podcast the next week. This week's answer from the website was Unico and the Island of Magic. And the correct answers were Gup Squatch, Otaku Cop, Nisekoi Maiko, Chibi Rob, Golden Jedi, Link, Manly Mudkip, Frozen Kangaroo, Mexican Canadian, and Link 182. This week's winner is Gup Squatch.
It's the second time in the last month Gup Squatch has won.
Second time in the last month,
Yep,
Gup
yep.
Squatch. Congratulations. I guess Gup Squatch is also this month's winner. Hell yeah, dude.
Holy moly. It
Good
must
job.
be my birthday.
Yep, indeed.
Yes.
And
So
I
going
believe
forward, huh?
And I believe he told me to say what he had selected. So let me see if I can find his email here.
Oh, nice.
He told me, he's like, oh, by the way, if you want to, you should mention what I picked to say on the podcast. I got to find his email. While I'm finding it, why don't you read what the next theme is?
Sure, yeah. So from this week forward, I guess into the end of December, the new theme will be Christmas anime. Oh my god, I actually love Christmas anime because like the ones that take place in like winter and it's warm and fuzzy stuff. Yeah, I love those.
That's because you're a romance fiend.
Yeah, I know. I get immediately taken to like White Album. What an underrated show. But whatever. Okay, we're about to head into the news break, and as we always do, or should I do this, or do you want to read?
Gup Squatch selected Darling in the Franxx manga volume 3.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
And also Noble Sour Gummies, so he can eat his candy while he reads his manga. So
Well, enjoy.
enjoy,
Yeah, enjoy
indeed.
that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Mhm,
Yep.
yep, yep.
All right. So,
All
moving
right.
on.
All right, guys, we're gonna head to a news break now, and as always, we have an in-show weekly question for you to answer while we're on break. This week's question is: the savvy trader recognizes her unusual ability to evaluate a person's character and accepts her proposition. Now in the possession of both sharp business skills and a charismatic negotiator, he inches closer to his goal of opening his own shop. What's that anime? Let us know after the news break.
Pika! Hey all you wild anime addicts out there, it's Mitsugi, and I'm here to give you your dose of anime news. Leading us off, well, after our previous story we had about the drop in physical media sales of anime properties in Japan, we're going to give you a little update on a recent week, November 12th through the 18th, Blu-ray and DVD sales numbers. And looking at them, they do seem a little lower than usual. The top 3 Blu-rays were Boku no Hero Academia, 3rd season volume 5, which probably won't surprise anybody, Bishoujo Sailor Moon, essentially, Blu-ray Collection Volume 1, and Wotakoi Volume 3, all coming in with very low numbers of less than 2,000 Blu-ray sales apiece. Going down to the DVDs, Wotakoi again coming in at number 3, and the same volume of Boku no Hero Academia coming in at number 2. However, Crayon Shin-chan, the movie number 26, Boku Mori Kung Fu Boys Ramen Taidan, comes in at number 1 for the DVD sales, and those also look a little lower than usual. Next up, there's an original anime property coming out. It has been announced. It was announced on the website for the property that is called Robi Hachi. Staff members have been revealed for the property, including the director Shinji Takamatsu, who worked on Binon Koko Chikyu Boebu Love. Also character design by Yuko Yahiro, who worked on Toji no Miko, etc., etc. It's going to be done by Studio Comet. So not a whole lot is known about this property yet, except that it's coming out pretty soon. The production committee is going to have an announcement on November 30th that's going to reveal more details, but it looks like a space adventure type show with a pretty nifty looking spaceship and some cool looking space type guys in the foreground. Next up on our news, we have, we're going to be moving into some Macy's Day Parade news. Of course, the 92nd Macy's Day Parade happening today, which is Thanksgiving, by the way. And for those of you that watched it, you probably saw a giant Goku flying through the sky. It's not the first time a manga or anime character has made it into the Macy's Day Parade, for example, Pikachu. However, Goku, Super Saiyan God Goku with his blue hair, very large, flying through the parade is a pretty cool thing to see. So if you missed it on TV, go look it up on the internet. It might be worth taking a look just so you can see Goku flying in all of his Super Saiyan glory through the streets. And next up, Nipponichi Software, which is a fairly beloved RPG company that is of Japanese origin that has made games such as Disgaea, which we all thought recently might not actually make it to see another fiscal year, has announced yet another game that's coming out. It has revealed some concept art for a PS4 and Switch title called Destiny Connect, which is an RPG that's going to be coming out on February 28th. Has some pretty snappy art, including what look like more 3D graphics. It's going to be coming out, like I said, February 28th for the PlayStation 4 and the Switch, and has some pretty nifty art, including some robots and some girls that might be a detraction from the prior style of games that Nipponichi Software has put out in the past. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, it's time to get us back to the podcast. Are you looking to expand your anime collection?
Are you looking for a place you can purchase all of your anime desires?
Ooh, then check out jlist.com.
At jlist.com, you can stock up on amazing merchandise. Want more cute moe figures, Nendoroids, apparel, or even cute anime-related mugs? You can find all of them there.
That's right. They even have a snack box. Every month, JList will select the newest and best Japanese snacks and send them right to your doorstep. No subscription or long-term commitment is required. Just purchase whatever box you think looks appealing, and that's all there is to it.
JList.com even has items for those naughty anime addicts. Hentai, doujins, erotic visual novels, and even anime-related toys are available for you to use on your very own, or with a very special anime-addicted loved one.
JList.com has everything an anime fan could possibly want. Just head over to their website and check it out.
JList.com, your friend in Japan since 1996.
You know, guys, when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of anime on TV. So I was really excited to see that HighDive.com carries exclusively a lot of the anime that I'm especially nostalgic about from my youth.
That's right. If you head over to HighDive.com, you can watch the entirety of the original Legend of the Galactic Heroes, one of the greatest anime of all time.
You know how awesome that is, Cosmo?
Pretty incredible.
You know what else they have?
What's that?
They have the Big O. It's basically anime Batman. They also carry Aura Battler Dunbine, Gotcha Man, Space Runaway Ideon, You're Under Arrest, and some mecha classics like Armored Trooper Vodoms. Totally badass.
And uncensored Monster Musume.
But Monster Musume is not a classic.
It's not a classic.
It's definitely a classic. Classic monster
You
movies.
just want boobs.
No matter what you consider a classic, head over to highdive.com, use the promo code AAAPodcast, and enjoy.
Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you enjoyed that news break.
Hello.
Who would like to bookend the in-show weekly trivia question for us?
I can.
Do it.
The Save trader recognizes her usual ability to evaluate a person's character and accepts her position. Now in possession of both sharp business skills and a charismatic negotiator, he inches closer to his goal of opening his own shop. And the answer was Spice and Wolf.
I did not guess that. Oops.
It's a good anime. I wish they'd make more of it.
Yeah, I do agree. I wish they would make more of it too.
And actually, the entire anime fandom wants more of it because everybody loves Horo a lot. She's like the number one waifu of anime.
She's cute.
She cute. She cute though.
All right, so we have another fan favorite segment coming up. So why don't we roll right into it?
Let's do it.
And now, let's take a minute for the Manga Minute with Mandy.
Alrighty, so Mandy's Manga Minute is where I take a minute or a couple minutes to tell you about a manga and help you find something new to read. And this week, I am doing The Wandering Island. After her grandfather's death, Kura chose to continue their Island Express courier service. With her seaplane and her adventurous cat Endeavor, she lives life as she chooses. Soon, Mikura becomes very interested in a mysterious island that seems to move around, according to local legend. After some extensive effort to determine the island's whereabouts, she manages to get a brief glimpse of it from the sky. Now that she knows it's real, she's determined to find the island again, no matter what it takes. So, Wandering Island is a mystery Iyashike manga written and illustrated by Kenji Tsuruta. Kenji Tsuruta is also the author of the manga Emanon, which is actually a pretty popular one. It does not have an English translation yet, but it is coming, I think, next year. There are only 2 available in The Wandering Island right now in English at this time. And they're published by Dark Horse, but the series is still being published in Japan. I've only read the first volume so far, but the series is very reliable. It's very laid back. I sped through the first volume because there's not a ton of dialogue in it. There's a lot of art. There were some pages just made entirely of just panels of art, and I feel like it's probably a big selling point to the series because because I really, really enjoyed it. Kenji's art style is a little rough, almost sketchy, but every panel is packed with detail. The backgrounds are very fleshed out, whether it be inside of a house or the island itself. If you're wanting a manga with a lot of action, though, this will not be for you. It's very cerebral, just like Eminon, if you've read his previous work. And it's told more through the art than dialogue. But I have seen a lot of comments saying it feels like a Studio Ghibli film, and I can definitely see where they're coming from. There's a lot of mystery, wonder, a strong sense of adventure, and if you're planning on picking it up and trying it on public transportation, I'll warn you, there is some partial nudity. So if that bothers you, if you're worried about someone seeing over your shoulders, maybe don't read it on, a train or something. But other than that, if you're looking for a very relaxing manga, then you can try this one out. The first volume feels like it ends right before a big reveal. So if you're really interested in it, maybe get the second one ready.
I remember one time I was on a school trip, and I was on an airplane, and I was reading Battle Royale.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it was the scene where the crazy girl who... I can't even... I feel like I can't even say what she was doing in Battle Royale because it's that graphic. Let's just say she was having sex and killing someone at the same time. And,
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very graphic. And someone took the manga from me and was like looking through it, and I was just like, "Well, that's the end of my life."
Well,
Was
that's
that
it.
Mitsuko?
I'm not.
I think her name was Mitsuko.
Yeah, Mitsuko or Misato or something like that. It was she was messed up in the head, and every single person on that trip probably thought I was messed up in the head because any given page in Battle Royale is going to have someone having like their innards ripped out, which is wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
So on the podcast, and thank you for that manga minute, Mandy.
No
as
problem.
always.
It was so calming. I just like read it like as you were talking, and I was like, damn, this is it ASMR to some degree? I don't know.
Just me talking about manga?
Yeah, but I was like, damn, life is good.
Your segment is Enzo's relaxation.
Oh yes.
I'm happy I could be here for you.
Yeah, thank you so much, friend.
So we all just got back from New York City. Well, Enzo's still there.
Yes.
We all got back.
We all got back. I got back to my apartment.
And so I'm just gonna say the process of getting to New York City. So we're gonna talk about the trip in its entirety, end to end. The process of getting there was a shit show. It was. It was.
So
Hell yeah, it was.
Screwed.
On all ends except Enzo was all like warm and snuggled in his in his digs.
What was I doing? I think I was watching the slime anime while you guys were all suffering in the air.
You were watching Critical Role because it was.
I was watching Critical Role like a true Enzo would do.
So initially we thought Mandy wouldn't make it because Cincinnati was having that freezing rainstorm.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, oh my god, like the bridge is going to be closed and all this craziness. Well, Mandy got there no problem.
Yeah.
At least it seemed.
Yeah, it was real weird because a couple of days, it was the night before, there was a big warning out that there was going to be freezing rain, and the bridge from Cincinnati that goes into Kentucky was closed down. They were like, you can't cross the bridge. But then the next day, it was still really bad out. It was still like a lot of ice out, but a cab driver still had no problem getting me there. I paid a lot more than I should have.
So
what should have been $50 trip ended up being like almost $80.
Damn, that's an expensive cab ride.
Yeah.
So Kazuo and I had our flight canceled, or it was delayed. First, it was delayed like 4 or 5 times. Before we even got to the airport, it was already delayed like 2 hours. So we were like, okay, well, we'll just sit at a pub and have like a couple of drinks and have some food. So that's what we did. Meanwhile, every like half an hour, the flight kept getting delayed, and eventually they just canceled it.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to the gate, and we after we trolled everybody by posting a picture of us in front of the delayed flights sign in front of the gate and put it on Twitter. They got us on standby on another flight, and the lady made it very clear that if we didn't get on this particular flight, we weren't getting to New York at all because there were so many people on standby that every single flight was full. So she was like, "This is it. You're either getting on this next flight or you're driving." To which,
Right.
to Kazuo's credit, he was like, "Well, I've done it before," and I'm looking at him like, "Are you insane? Like, you want to drive?"
Yeah, Kazuo would say that, and I feel there's an inkling in me that had you guys not been able to fly, his crazy ass would have actually driven to New York. Which is ridiculous.
I'm gonna be honest. I would not have gone because I am not driving 30 plus hours for one weekend. So this isn't happening.
I would have told you guys to just not. I would have just told you guys to not come. I would be like, listen, I'll do the panel, like whatever.
We may have been better off driving because we were the last 2 people on that flight, and the flight left at like 10, so we landed in New York City at around 12:30 in JFK.
Oh my god!
And we sat, and this is the worst flight experience I've ever had. And when I say that I'm not trying to sound like a badass, but I've probably flown 200 times. I've done a lot of I've done a lot of international flying. This is the worst flight experience I've ever had in my life. We sat on the tarmac for I timed it 3 hours and 42 minutes.
All right, I just want to say for the casual human out there, the tarmac is where the runway where the plane lands, because I didn't know what that meant either.
Yeah, so we landed. They had no gate to put us at. So he was driving around the airport trying to find a gate, couldn't find one. And then inevitably he was like, well, we're just going to sit here and wait for the stairs to come. They're just going to bring stairs, and we were going to walk down the stairs onto the tarmac and, whatever. Well, they didn't have any stairs either. So it got pretty bad. At about the 3-hour mark, he came on the intercom and he said, well, legally we can't keep you for more than 3 hours. But
good luck getting off.
But short of blowing the slides, we have no way of getting you off the plane. And there was a guy about 5 rows in front of me who was like, "So blow the fucking slides!" And then I was like, "Yeah, blow them!" It was getting crazy. Like, people were, and apparently the plane in front of us that was waiting in front of us, I was also waiting forever. They had to have the air marshals waiting at the plane when the stairs showed up, because there were people basically getting violent on the airplane in front of us.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, the tension and the frustration, like, I can only imagine. Like, you guys are, like well-tempered people. I cannot imagine some dude that has like, or girly, like anyone that has like anger issues being okay with the situation.
No, it was bad.
I mean? Yeah, dude.
So it was a terrible experience. We didn't get to the Airbnb until 5 a.m. So
the weird thing for me was that all of the flights, like the other flights from Cincinnati, were canceled, but mine was still good and on time. It was so weird. I don't understand that.
Dude, and it was
I was very shocked.
The manga gods, Mandy.
Yeah.
They looked at your plane. They were like, this woman must tell her story in New York.
But we had to
But when I got there, our plane got stuck in the snow.
Oh my god.
It landed, and it was like, we're stuck in the snow. We can't move. So I was also stuck in the plane, not as long as you guys, but like I think an hour-ish, or maybe it was like 45 minutes to an hour. And they kept trying to get different trucks to push the plane up to the stairs. And then all of a sudden the flight or the pilot would come back on. He's like, so that truck didn't work. We're going to try a different truck. And everyone would laugh. We had a pretty good crowd on our plane. Everyone thought it was hilarious.
Everything's funny until hour 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then but I felt bad because poor Mandy had to fend for herself, basically, in navigating her way to the Airbnb, which I guess was not the most pleasant experience.
Nope.
And ultimately, the whole just arriving in New York was just a disaster. It did not end up as planned. And honestly, I blame Delta and JFK Airport because, I mean, first of all, like the state of New York has has a ton of money from taxes. Like, come on, people, get a heated runway in there, for God's sake. There shouldn't be snow on runways ever. It should be. I had neighbors growing up with heated driveways. Like, hello. Is
that possible though? Because airport driveways or tarmacs are massive.
I mean, they could figure it out. So
there has to be a solution to this. It sounds like such a barbaric problem. Does this following sentence sound logical? Ready? I flew in on an airplane to the airport, and my plane got stuck in the snow.
And stuck in the snow.
Where's the logic? Where is it?
It's completely illogical.
I do like the idea that a thing that flies got stuck in the snow.
That's what I'm fucking saying. Like, what the hell?
Anyway,
it was really tough getting to New York. Like I was really stuck on my couch and I couldn't move for like 3 hours. Also, like I really relate to the struggle you guys went through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Enzo had too big of a dinner. He was laughing too hard at Critical Role. He couldn't get up for 3 hours.
I just couldn't move from my couch. Guys.
Life was so hard.
I was stuck too. I can't move.
He was wearing his onesies with the little footies on them. Man. Anyway. All right. So the con was good.
Yes, it was. Yes.
How did you guys enjoy the con overall?
So myself and a couple of the mods that came with us this year, we went last year, and they all stayed at my place. This time they got their own Airbnb. But last year was the first year of Anime NYC, powered by Crunchyroll and a million sponsors. Hold on, there's a lot of music outside my window. You guys hear that right now?
I can't, but I'm sure it'll show.
Jam
up on
to
the
it,
recording.
baby.
That was groovy. Holy crap!
It's
Anyway,
gone now.
Thank you, Brooklyn. Thank you. Yeah. So Anime NYC this year, it's only the second year of the con, and I can tell you right now that there were it was a lot of improvements because last year, like the panel room and like the artist alley exhibitor area was really kind of, I don't know how to say it. It was not like floor plan wise organized well, and the panel rooms were like way smaller. Like they weren't using like the New York Comic Con setup. This setup was the New York Comic Con setup where like artist alley is off on this like second floor thing, the exhibitor hall was off in this huge section, and they had the panels on the lower floor which have like the big panel rooms, right?
Yep.
So super improvement from last year. Anime NYC people, if you guys are listening, I'm pretty sure one of you guys are, like, good job. It was not hard to get our press passes.
Nope.
It was not hard to navigate the place aside from like the general like crowdedness, like how crowded it was. But all the staff I talked to were helpful. None of them were mean. None of them were upset or anything, even on like late Saturday. And there was food to be had if you were hungry. So I think vast improvement from last year, in my opinion, because I went last year as well.
Yeah, I was going to say this one was very organized. The only other anime convention that I've ever been to is Otakon, and I've been to that a few times. And Otakon, finding panels, you needed like a map to find panel rooms because they're spread out all over the place.
Right,
At least it was when it was in Baltimore.
Yep.
Baltimore, right? That was the first where it started.
Yep. Baltimore Harbor.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I remember that correctly. Yeah, when it was originally in Baltimore, it was, I don't know, the panel rooms were all over the place. There'd be some up on, the third floor, down the bottom floor. But this one was really nice. You just go down an escalator and all the panel rooms are in a line. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep, all the panel rooms were there with their own line forming area. So there wasn't like a chaos of like what line is for what. It was all like, your room is here. In front of this door is a whole bunch of ropes that tell you, okay, if you want to line up for this panel, line up here. And it was all super good. It was the New York Comic Con format.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So if you had a friend who was like, I'm in line for this panel, you didn't have to like look at a map and go, okay, where's this panel at? I gotta find it. How am I gonna get from here to there, escalators and all that? No, it's right there. The panel rooms all in a row. You're like, okay, right there.
You have to learn like, okay, the panels are in the lower floor over here. Cool. And that's all you need to know. Because then once you get to the panel area, you could just be like, oh, I need to go to panel room 2C or whatever. And you just walk until you see panel room 2C. But you knew all the panels were there. So that was really good because last year they were like in this like corner and then some of them were in a different spot too. So really happy with that.
I thought it was pretty impressive for a second year.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
I will say that they're going to need to change some stuff up in the next year or so because that convention area already felt like it was at capacity. And
dude, it's the Javits Center. That's huge.
Yeah, I know, but they weren't using very much of it. They're going to need to expand it. They're going to need to adopt another wing or something because, like,
you're right. Yeah.
I was literally overwhelmed in the artist alley. It was so crowded in there that it was actually not a good experience at all.
Super crowded.
I mean, and the dealer's room was not as bad because it was just massive, but like the artist alley was like, forget it. It was and a lot of the areas there were so many people that there was barely even a place to sit or stand anywhere. And I don't mean sit in a chair. I mean sit on the floor. Like they're going to need to expand that thing to another portion of the convention hall.
You know
It
what?
was so sad because there were so many like really awesome artists there that I really wanted to go up and look at and possibly buy a print from, but I couldn't because we were like, it felt like a Japanese like, subway train. It was awful.
I was having anxiety. I had to bail. I bought a
know.
Sonic the Hedgehog keychain and I bailed out. I was like, I can't handle this.
You know, you guys are right, because actually the New York Comic Con format has Artist Alley in its own own wing that you correctly, Mitsuki, said that they weren't using. You're right. Artist Alley for Anime NYC was in that upper floor, right?
The very top floor, yeah.
The very top floor, the third floor. Yeah. So Artist Alley for New York Comic Con is the wing that's all the way down to the right, where we actually weren't allowed to go.
That's so weird.
That's a huge wing that for New York Comic Con to use.
I mean,
so maybe that's what they do next year. They move Artist Alley to that area instead.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like triple the size of that room.
So you're talking about 20,000. So Anime NYC had 20,000 people last year, according to the internet. And you're talking $50 a ticket. And it's probably bigger this year than last year.
It was. I think they tripled that number, dude. I think they put the number out on.
It was 60,000.
Hold on. Yeah, they put it on their Instagram. How many people went to anime?
So let's just say it's 60,000. So with $3 million of revenue off tickets, and I don't know how much revenue off of the dealer's room and the Artist Alley, because every single booth in both of those costs money. And then there's also Crunchyroll sponsoring, and they had other big vendors there that probably paid a lot of money to be there. So
they welcomed, 36K. Sorry, 36K. They didn't triple, but it's still 16K over.
All right, so that's 1.8 million off tickets. So let's just call it $2 million off total gross. Like, I mean, the only reason why you wouldn't have a bigger section is because you just didn't want to pony up the money for it. So maybe they might have misunderestimated the amount of people that would show up. But I would hope that with a $2 million gross off this year, next year they're going to say, well, you know, we're going to expect 45,000 next year, and they're going to need two wings for sure.
So, dude, actually, Naomi in the YouTube chat says that hopefully next year when the Javits Center finishes construction, they'll use the rest of the space.
I mean, I was walking around a lot of the space that wasn't being used. It was definitely not under construction.
I almost said my company's name. Oh my god. The company I work for does its like yearly celebration at the Javits Center, and I know the wing I'm talking about, and it's not anywhere you guys were. It's a huge wing that you guys are not allowed to go to. So I think they're reconstructing that wing. So that's why I don't think they even had the option of going to that area. But was there other empty space they could have used? Yeah, probably.
I'm gonna politely disagree, because I was sort of walking around a little, and if you walked towards to the right, past all the people, past all the events and stuff, there was plenty of space that was totally just ghost town. That was not. There were no barricades up. There was no sign of construction in a lot of areas. And
I mean, I know.
Understand what I'm
saying? You're right, but like those, like we didn't do any of this, but those areas are also for like cosplay meetups and like those kind of things. So those are the areas that people like the huge fandoms like My Hero, Persona 5, like all the cosplay, like people meet there and take their photographs there.
I mean,
so, like
with all due
it looks empty, but like those things take up a lot of space, bro.
I get it. I get it, and I saw some of those people. There was space even past them, but like with all due respect, for for example, are we gonna cram another 15,000 people into that same space next year just so people can take photographs? I don't think so. Like those people
I think they will, because like the cosplay aspect of dude, conventions are like have, like 20% the panels, like 20% like the Artist Alley and the exhibition hall, and then like 60% like the cosplay, because that's where you meet your fellow fans.
I'm gonna passionately disagree with you here because
your tone didn't change.
But from respect to passionately.
I mean, you're talking to people in cosplay going to have photo shoots is maybe 2% of all cosplayers. The majority of people that are in cosplay aren't doing all that. So you're talking about sacrificing the experience for the entirety of the convention. People like literally walking around like they're being crushed so that a couple people can take photographs. That's ridiculous. Those people need to
not a couple. Those are pretty big.
No, dude, they were
Look,
huge,
I'll just say right now, even if it was 1,000 out of the 50,000 people next year, it still ain't enough. So you can't be taking up all that space just so that people can do photo shoots. They can do photo shoots in other places. Find some other place. The convention needs to find space for it, or find another convention center. So,
There's not a bigger one in New York. I mean, unless you do like MSG, but like not even New York Comic Con has like the guap for the MSG.
well, it's not really worth. It's not really worth getting too deep into it. The bottom line for me is they need to find a way to get more space, because if it's going to keep growing, if it's going to grow at an 80% clip every year.
Yeah, I'm with you, because it like I also was kind of like, as someone who has gone to New York Comic Con like the last bajillion years in a row, like I was like, whoa, like this feels like that, and like they need the artist alley open, like the wing, because
Well, I mean, plus if they do 50,000 people next year in that same space and the fire marshal comes in, they're gonna get their ass shut down.
I agree with Icy Rose. He said that he wants, as a cosplayer, he thinks the photo shoots should take place outside, because I mean it's really nice having that natural lighting. It's better for taking pictures, but I think the only problem with that though is the time of the year, because we were just one day away from like a massive like snowstorm. So if that had happened the day before, or I mean in the day after, that would have really sucked for cosplayers.
Anyway, it's gonna get to a legal issue, because if there had been a fire in that artist alley, people would have died. So
if anyone from NYC is listening, I would love to talk about how like the floor planning went down, because like it's interesting, because I think next year, as Mintigi is predicting, as actually we are all predicting, I think there's gonna be more attendees.
It's gonna be intense, and I think it's great. By the way, like we need bigger, we need more big conventions. I really do worry about like someone setting something on fire and people getting literally trampled to death in Artist Alley, because that was crazy. Like it was nuts.
No, I'm totally with you there for sure. Point is, something has to be done for that.
And I don't want an anime con to get shut down by the fire department because it's creating a dangerous environment. Because I don't want conventions like anime cons to get bad reputations of being dangerous. And when we know, anime has enough problems. So, but it was a good convention, and I thought our panel went well. By the way, shifting into the things that.
Are we shifting to the panel? Because I would love to talk about the panel.
Yeah. So the panel, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. So as you guys know, you listeners know, that we had a panel in collaboration with High Dive. We were going to discuss Revue Starlight from the perspective of Ikuni, who is the main influence on the director of Revue Starlight. So we were going to discuss there. We had a special guest that was going to come in. However, as life would have it, unfortunately, our guest couldn't make it, which is totally understandable. So as your AAA podcast, we had to do it live.
Do it live. We had
to do it live, baby.
We did it live, baby.
Mandy amazingly put together this really cohesive PowerPoint for us to do. However, from the 45 minutes we had, 20 minutes was our presentation on Starlight, and then 20 minutes was supposed to be for the guest to take up, right? However, no guests, so we had to fill 20 minutes on the fly. And not gonna lie, I wasn't really that nervous for the panel in general. I was only nervous knowing that, and then also having to just do it for my first time. So yeah, I guess going into the panel, how'd you guys feel? Because I was sorry, whoa, I'm really burpy today. As we were approaching the panel, I know.
Let it rip, baby.
I know I was starting to get a little nervous, but not because of talking in front of people, but from the perspective of this is my first panel ever, in a community that I really love. It was my first time representing something other than myself in this kind of context, and I was only nervous because I didn't want to let the podcast down. I was holding myself to such a high expectation that I was I really can't mess this up, because this is our first New York big panel shot. So that's what I was feeling. That's what all my mind was. I was don't mess this up. This is big, so don't mess this up.
Mandy, how did you feel going into the panel?
Going into it,
I mean, I should say, how did you feel when we were about to start, when we knew that our guest wasn't going to be there?
When we knew the guest wasn't going to be there.
Correct.
I was a little nervous because I was thinking, man, I put in so much time for the guest, because I mean he's the English dub director. So I thought, people will probably want to hear a lot of what he has to say and want to make his time being there worth it. So I gave him a lot of time for questions. I even wrote out the questions for him. And so when he didn't show up, I was really kind of nervous. But then, like you said, we pretty much just let the audience feed questions to us. So it wasn't that bad. But I do have a lot of regrets. There were questions about Revue Starlight that I wasn't expecting, because I wasn't expecting this, ask us questions. I was expecting, these are the questions we're going to ask the dub director. And I was expecting to focus more on the voice acting, the English voice acting of it, but not the questions that we got. And then afterwards, I thought up a lot of responses, and we can get to that in the review, that I wish I had known before going into that panel. I wish I had time. I wish I had known what questions are going to be asked. I know it's impossible, but
impossible, yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't prepared for that. And we did get a lot interesting questions. I didn't think of before.
I think that's where you and I'm not going to speak for Kazuo, but at least and Mitz, is your turn to tell me how you felt beforehand. But I think that's where you and me, Mandy, given our first panel, my nervousness only came from not laying the podcast down, and also the fact that we had to fill 20 minutes. And I know from prior experiences, with playing shows with my band and giving speeches at my job, 20 minutes is a long time. So that's the only reason I was nervous. So Mitz, so you've done panels before. How'd you feel going into this one, knowing that our guest unfortunately couldn't make it?
Well, I was, as you guys were talking just now, I was trying to think about what my first panels were ever, and the reality is I can't remember because I'm so old. But I wasn't nervous about it. I wasn't expecting the issues we had at the panel.
Yeah.
And I don't.
We had some sound issues too.
We had sound issues, but honestly, I have never in my life gone to a panel that ran. Well, actually, that's not true. Usually, panels don't run perfectly. There's always something. I've done some crazy shit at panels. I once had to run up a deactivated flight of escalators with speakers on my shoulders because they didn't have any speakers at the panel that I was doing audio video at.
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that, just madness, I'm literally sprinting through the dealer room with tower speakers on my shoulders and running up flights of escalators. That shouldn't have to happen, but it does. But given how much experience we all have bantering and talking and just being people, I was not concerned about filling the extra 20 minutes on the panel that, once we ran out of the panel's content. And to be perfectly honest, I think that we probably could have filled a lot more time than we did.
Yeah. Now, in hindsight, first of all, it's thank you for being a leader in that moment, because you from the get-go were nah, we're fine. We do this every week.
We do it, man.
There's 4 of us here. We all mesh well. We're gonna fill 20 minutes, no problem. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And that calmed me down a little bit. And then, in hindsight, from how well the conversation with the audience was going, we could have definitely sat there for another half an hour for sure.
Easily, it could have been. For sure. It could have been another hour. Actually, there were almost 200 people at the panel, and and I don't want to leave Kazuo out of the conversation either, because Kazuo is just a natural comedic presence.
Dude, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
And we had some laughs.
You definitely. We all. I thought
we
all
laughed
of
a lot, dude. What?
All of us, I thought, were really good on the panel, and especially you guys being your first time at such a big panel. But I just wanted to speak for Kazuo because he's not here. Kazuo, in a moment where you're trying to fill time because your panel has run out of content and you're trying to engage the audience, the comedy is really valuable, and that's Kazuo. That's what he does. He's just a funny guy. And that's really valuable. And I think that people really enjoy. What the hell are the giraffe jokes that we did?
Dude, okay. That's easily
where does that even come from?
Because in Revue Starlight, we'll get to in Revue Starlight, there's a giraffe character, right?
Exactly.
The overseeing person. So this guy, so me, Mandy, and
this
Mitch
guy over here.
this guy. All right, but me, Mitz, and Mandy are engaged in this conversation about the giraffe and Revue Starlight, right? And then all just literally from out of nowhere, you just hear Kazu go, "Does it take longer for giraffes to throw up? I mean, like, does it just have to go slowly up
Like,
their
what?
necks?" And then Mitz goes, "What?" I go, "What?" And Manny goes, "What?" And the entire crowd is just dying because we were like having a pretty like cool serious point, and he just like out of nowhere just like, "Hey, like, does it take longer for giraffes to throw up? I mean, like, their legs are quite long."
And then it got so far that High Dive was, and again, thank you to High Dive for helping us even have the panel at all, because I have no doubt we would not have gotten the panel. Sure. And I want to make a comment about that also afterwards. The High Dive even tweeted us, and I think Sentai Filmworks was there as well. There were a series of tweets regarding giraffes afterwards, which was pretty funny. and like, yeah, because it turned into, how long does it take for a giraffe to grow up? Like, the audience was asking questions. It was just it was good. It was comedy is never bad, ever.
No, never.
I've gone to panels that are just complete. Some of my favorite panels I've ever been to, and trust me, I'm old. I've been to a lot of panels. Some of them, my favorites, my most memorable ones are ones at Otakon late at night, where they're just there.
I've seen those.
They're there to shit talk and be funny, and that's it. Like, you're not going to gain any knowledge from it. You're not going to have insights on Gundam or something. They're just there to talk shit and be funny. And like, some of those panels are my all-time favorites. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I went to a 4chan panel once that was just beyond filthy, and the whole point of the panel was almost as if to just offend everybody until everybody left. Like, it was like their goal was to eliminate the audience by offending them. That was one of my favorite panels I've ever been to, just because of the shock value of being in there.
Absolutely.
And like, that is entertainment. Like, that to me is more valuable than most other panels, and I love it. Like, I love that.
Yeah, I want to. So going off the High Dive being like, literally High Dive being like the best, like, just like more than I ever thought a sponsor could be for us. But like, in the moment when on the panel, when we wrapped up like our planned, conversation, like our planned points with Revue Starlight and the presentation that Mandy had made, we, in a moment of like just heroism, Jessica from High Dive, right?
Yep.
I believe Jessica's title is like the digital marketing director.
I'm pretty sure she runs the Twitter for High Dive and,
right.
and does other things as well. But yeah, she's a marketing coordinator.
Like digital, like in charge of a lot of like the digital alleyways of High Dive. We, kind of half joking, half serious. We're like, you know what, guys? Like, anyone from the audience can come up here and join us for like a quick conversation, Q&A. And then like Jessica from High Dive just gets up and says like, I'll go up. And then she comes up and joins us. And she absolutely helped facilitate the last half of the panel, because, being able to talk to her from High Dive, we get like some industry perspective. And then through that, we somehow segue into giraffes, which made the crowd lose it. And then we made it to Q&A, and it was cool having the audience ask her questions, ask us questions, and her answering questions that the audience asked us as well. So like huge shout out to Jessica from High Dive. Like, that was genuinely like really cool of her to come up and be like, hey, like, I am. It was cool. There was one moment where like, I like during the whole giraffe debacle, when people were Googling facts about giraffes and like telling us them, she at one moment, because she was sitting next to me, she goes into the mic, she goes, yeah, this is the podcast we chose to sponsor. Yep.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I just died laughing. She was like, yeah, like, guys, like, this is like, I am officially High Dive, and we are officially sponsoring this podcast.
We had a Revue Starlight cosplayer in our crowd, and her outfit was really good.
Dude, her cosplay was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it was super. Dude, the textures on her cosplay were super cool. My highlight cosplay moment at the panel was I shouted out a Mercy cosplay from Overwatch, and I was like, yo, shouts out Mercy, your cosplay is sick. And she was like, oh my god, thank you. And I was like, yeah, I'm a Diamond Mercy, man, and she's my favorite. She was like, oh my god, I love you. And I was like, oh my god, I love you too. Was so good. God, that panel was so fun, guys. Like, I remember like after the panel was done, and this is my favorite part. Like my favorite part of the panel was after the panel was done, when like a solid like 15, 20 people like came up to the table and just saying like thanks, and like I think this is the same Naomi that was at the panel here in the YouTube chat today. Like, you know, she was like, hey, you guys are cool, like what's the Discord, like I want to join. It was really cool, like, you know, introducing people to the Discord, and just having so many people be like, so I heard people from the audience be like, hey Mandy, like what's the next manga we're reading? Like obviously that person goes to manga club. And it was like my favorite comment that like high key got me emotional, but I had to like swallow my tears to not cry in front of everyone, was someone was like, hey, and like this couple came up to me and was like, hey, and so nice to meet you, like you do such a great job on the podcast, like keep it up. And I say like, oh, like thank you so much, it means so much to me, because you know I still get a little nervous when I hit record, and I still think about the fact that I'm filling in for Chiaki and Kimiko, who are two beloved hosts of the podcast, and like they both seriously go, hey man, it doesn't show and you're doing more than enough. And I was like, thanks. Like
I was
thank
really
you so
sad
much.
that staff started shooing people away, because I wish we
I
had
know,
more time
right?
to talk to
I
people.
know, like that was the best part.
I wish that I think next time we should have a panel for just us if we
Yeah,
can.
100%. Like one, like if High Dive will have us again, you know,
Yeah.
with like their brand in it, like we should definitely do it, because I at this point love High Dive with my bones. Like they're great. And if we can do one for ourselves, like maybe do an episode live or something at the con, that I think that would be even better, so that we have like a pure hour with, you know, fans that are there for us.
I think after looking at the panel selection at the convention, I think I understand why some of the doing a live podcast there would have been really challenging, because it seems like they had a lot of the panel space reserved for industry, and that was pretty much it. So,
okay.
I mean, if you look at the schedule, there was a lot of, it was Aniplex, then it was Funimation, then it was Crunchyroll, then it was High Dive, then it was most of the panels were large industry panels, and it didn't really. And I totally get it, and it makes sense to me. And people are going to want to go to those. Obviously, they're really important. A lot of the conventions that I've been to, including Otakon, actually, which is kind of rare for Otakon because it's so big, there's a lot of fan panels. So,
yeah.
So like I've done a live podcast before at conventions. We've done that. And
yeah, Otakon had tons of weird ones.
Tons of weird, crazy shit. Like there was a How to Survive the Zombie Apocalypse at Otakon, where that was done by fans of just the Resident Evil games. It wasn't Capcom; it was just fans of Resident Evil. So if I can give one piece of recommendation to Anime NYC, it would be, one, panels need to be longer than 45 minutes. 45 minutes is not enough time to do almost anything. And try to have more panels and just have more, like, rather, because it seemed like they only had maybe 3 or 4 per day per room. And I feel like they could have had a lot more panels and had more room for individual, like, non-industry people to come in and do things. So like that's really my only gripe in terms of the panels is, you know, maybe allow people that aren't in part of the industry to come in and share their fandoms or whatever people do. So because some of the flair of anime conventions is experiencing things from the fan perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely. There was one of my favorite panels of all time was here in New York. We have a smaller anime con called Liberty City Anime Con, and last year or 2 years ago, 2 years ago, there's a Haikyuu panel, but it wasn't a panel at all. It was 10 Haikyuu cosplayers, one Karasuno and one Josei, and they versed each other in the volleyball match.
Yeah, at Otakon one year they had Haikyuu teaching you how to play volleyball, and they had like people come up and with volleyballs and showed you how to do all the different moves and practice.
Yeah, and that was one of the coolest panels, because like it was cool because fans of the show know the cheers for like the schools, so it was cool being in a crowd cheering for like Oikawa, right? And just like fanboying out for that. So yeah, I think that's a good recommendation, a good like tip for the Anime NYC. Even if it's like a panel room away from all the other panel rooms, like just goes all day long, even at the same time slots as other panels that are from the industry. Just like give the fans a space to get to do panels.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Even if it's silly things like a dance party, like I've seen people do like, oh, Pokemon dance party, and it's just like people in Pokemon cosplay going in and dancing to music in the panel room. That sounds silly, and it doesn't really. It's not professional or whatever. But the fans, there are a lot of younger people at anime cons, and they enjoy doing silly stuff like that. So
totally.
But overall, I thought Anime NYC was a really good con, especially for its second year, and I'm kind of excited to see where it's going to be after year like 10.
Yeah,
Because,
I agree.
There can be great things happening. Anime NYC could be Anime Expo if they're going to grow at 80% a year, which they won't. It'll slow down, but if
I don't know, dude. I mean, it's New York. It's New York. Don't forget.
I mean,
that's a factor in it all.
Basic growth curves would suggest that won't happen, but if it does, please use the whole convention center. Anyway, let's spend a few minutes. We're really running long. A couple minutes on the rest of the trip.
Oh yeah. There's a whole other part of the trip. I guess my mind was just so fixated on the panel because I genuinely left that panel room like overjoyed and just like vibrating with. I haven't been that happy in a really long time. Like genuinely like head to toe happy. And that's why I'm like so glad that like I've like this Thanksgiving I was mostly thankful that I'm a part of the podcast because just doing the panel and just meeting people that genuinely were like, dude, thank you so much, was like I've never felt that before in my life ever. So like thanks to all the listeners that came to the panel. We hope to do more. We want to do more, and we will try our best to do that.
Yeah, and one more thanks to High Dive because we would not have gotten that panel without High Dive because of the industry nature of the panels. So we were lucky to be in there.
It actually felt really good to have people show up. I was like worried, before I was like, I wonder how many people are going to show up for us. And then when all these people start pouring in, I was like, oh no.
Oh no, they like us.
especially for a podcast, for an anime that's not like a super mainstream anime like Revue Starlight. I thought it was a pretty good crowd. You're only going to get fans of Revue Starlight in a Revue Starlight panel. So
I had a moment of big smiles. I was like, I can't believe this. I was not expecting this.
Yeah, neither was I, dude. Like, holy shit.
My favorite non-convention moment in New York was going to eat go-go curry. That was everything I wanted. Just absolutely my food fantasy came true. I got to have Japanese curry. I love that, it was so good.
Dude, you love that. You love that stuff, man.
Oh man, I love it. It's like what I live for.
Yeah. On the topic of food, your boy Enzo was cursed this weekend. So I have been put on a really strict diet to like help get rid of like my like acid reflux stuff going on right now. So I can't eat anything too crazy. So guys, that whole weekend I was watching my co-hosts and our fellow mods just like downing the most beautiful curry, ramen, Japanese sweets, and I just was there sipping water the whole time.
Well, you're better. You're gonna be better off for it. You're gonna be back to fight another day.
Oh, dude, I kept saying it. I was like, the day I'm allowed to eat, I'm gonna eat so much and just ruin myself again.
Do you want to speak about the karaoke event? We're running really long, so I was gonna talk about the Castle in the Sky movie I saw in the theater, but I'm gonna save that for the after party.
Yeah. So you saw Castle in the Sky. You guys went to a bar. Kazuo trolled the bar with the karaoke machine that was there.
It was hilarious. He even played chipmunk music.
God. Kazuo. I wish he was here.
Mason, our mod on Discord, went and saw the Natsume movie at the convention. It was so great. I loved it. We both had very similar opinions on it. It starts off kind of slow, and it almost feels like jumbled up stories. Like they had 4 different short stories, but then all of a sudden they all came together at the end. But I was really annoyed because there's this really tall guy in the front and I could not see some of the subtitles. But he ended up moving halfway through the movie because I kept kind of like moving around him, like I can't see. But he ended up moving, and then I had a perfect shot after that. But and they gave out these little, like, you remember like the studio when we went to the Ghibli Museum, they gave us the film strips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They gave those out.
Oh, that's super cool. Wow.
Everyone who showed up. And Enzo's friend Liz was there, and I met her. And she was so happy because Mason got the one that she wanted, and they instantly traded. And she was just so thrilled, and I was happy for that too.
Yeah, she told me about that. I met up with her afterwards at a bar near
did you?
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
at a bar near my place after you guys left, and we just fangirled for a long time. But yeah, so we had a karaoke event. Super unlucky. A lot of the people that were gonna come were just tormented and sad that they, it was a late night karaoke event, and a lot of people were either like, oh my god, like my person I'm with is so tired, or like, hey, like things came up, which is totally fine. We still had a very lovely listener join us for karaoke, and boy did we sing amok in that karaoke room.
It was pretty amok, and there was a lot of food. I didn't realize there was gonna be so much food. Otherwise, I don't even think we would have eaten dinner beforehand.
Yeah.
So much food. There were a lot of drinks to be had. Like pitchers of beer and pitchers of sake. Oh my god. And yeah, we sang so much. We sang our hearts out for 2 hours, and I thought the coolest thing ever was that we ended it with a lot of I believe I can fly.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, we did.
And we like slow walked out of the karaoke room.
I did my primal scream. I can't remember what song that was, but that
Oh
was
my
good.
god,
Disturbed.
Mandy put on Disturbed like a.
Oh yeah.
I put on every
Down
song
with the
that you
sickness.
screamed to
Oh my god, it was
because I was
ridiculous.
so excited.
It was so ridiculous. I really hope that next year, if we do a karaoke event again, like the people that wanted to come can actually come, because like, yo, it was wild.
I was a little disappointed though in the place because they didn't have a lot of really common stuff. Like they didn't even have any One OK Rock, which just really blew my mind.
Really didn't? I thought I saw one OK
No.
Rock when I searched in the past.
No, they didn't have that. They didn't have flyers. They didn't have a lot of like the.
They definitely have flyers.
Me and Andrew were looking for it. We couldn't find it.
I thought I found it in the past. Maybe, I don't know. It's also like like their system has stuff, but you have to be like super specific when you search.
yeah.
You can't like even miss one Hiragana character, or like it's
Yep.
like you just will never come up.
I kept queuing up like the really common, like versus nostalgic Dragon Ball songs for Kazuo, and one after another he couldn't sing them. I was like, "What is wrong with you?" like the opening theme song to Dragon Ball, I thought would have been for sure a hit, but
I mean, Head Shala was a hit.
Well, Head Shala, I mean,
that was a hit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Head Shala is That Head Shala is one of the great karaoke songs. It was good.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
So did I.
Yeah,
I mean,
fun.
after that, I was dead. I was so dead tired though, because like that was standing in. What song was it that we all went super hard to for no reason? It was like a fucking like a pop punk song.
Oh man, we did Chop
was
Suey. I don't.
Oh, it was Chop Suey. We went so hard.
Oh, we were singing Fall Out Boy.
And Fall Out Boy.
I put on like 3 Fall Out Boy songs.
I have a very embarrassing video of everyone going super hard.
I have a few videos. Yeah.
I've never gonna post it. The only thing I posted was us singing the Pokemon theme song together.
Oh yeah, I found the Pokemon theme song.
Yeah, which is a great pick. That really set the mood, I think.
All right, so I have talks of the Castle in the Sky movie in theaters, which I caught, and I was glad I went and saw that. But I think I'm gonna save it for the after party because we're running long. So I think we should call it here. We should call it here and go to the news break. So who wants to read the intro trivia question? Does anybody else have anything they feel like they must say before we move on?
Blah, 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 blah. Hi Dive, you're super cool. Thank you so much. Let's do this again. Yay. I want to do the panel so bad. But yeah, anyway, before the news break, like you guys know, we're gonna ask you another question. So this time, in the film Castle in the Sky, what primary occupation to the inhabitants of Pazu's town practice? Let us know.
Hey all you anime addicts, Mitsuki's back, and just like always, there are 2 news breaks, so let's get right to it. First off, we have a man being arrested in Japan. A man was arrested for selling modified Super Nintendo systems, the mini ones, in Japan recently. The Shimane Prefecture Police arrested a 39-year-old employee named Tomoyuki Miyamoto, who was in Kashima. Apparently, he sold 3 modified consoles to people at a total expense of about $550 that had some extra games added to them that didn't come with the Super Nintendo Mini version, which violated Nintendo's copyright and trademark laws for the games. So he got busted up for selling just 3 consoles, which just shows how serious Nintendo is about enforcing the rules when it comes to copyright infringement. Next up on the list, it looks like we have another anime coming out. Shueisha released that Riicho Inagaki and Boichi's Dr. Stone manga is going to be getting an anime adaptation that's going to be coming out in July 2019. Looks pretty cool. Looks like a shonen fighting type manga. Viz Media describes the manga's first volume as, quote, on one fateful day, all of humanity was petrified by a blinding flash of light. After several millennia, high schooler Taiju awakens and finds himself lost in a world of statues. However, he is not alone. His science-loving friend Senku's been up and running for a few months, and he's got a grand plan in mind to kickstart civilization with the power of science, which sounds very cool. The art looks definitely pretty neat, and this one I think could be a relatively anticipated title considering it's a Shueisha shonen property. So let's look out for more details about Dr. Stone as they're released in the next coming months. Next up, Adi Shankar, who you'll know was the executive producer of Netflix's Castlevania animated series, has confirmed that he's going to be doing an animated series based on the Devil May Cry video game franchise. Now, I don't know if anybody told him how terrible the Devil May Cry anime was, but apparently he wants to take another crack at it. He stated that the series, quote, will join Castlevania in what we're now calling the bootleg multiverse. Kind of an interesting way to describe it. He also said that he acquired the rights himself so that the, quote, jabronis in Hollywood can't F this one up too, which is a very strong statement. And he says that his previous Castlevania series overperformed, so people ought to look forward to the release of the Devil May Cry on Netflix. However, I hope that Dante doesn't look the way he does in the promo art, because he looks like his very emo, like teenage self Dante, and not the cool older Dante that we all like. So we're going to have to wait and see more details about this when they come out later on. And lastly, we have more arrest news. 2 individuals in the Akita and Kyoto prefectures were arrested on separate accounts of pirating Dragon Ball Heroes arcade game cards. It looks like one suspect is a 19-year-old male who sold more than 1,000 copies of illegal reproductions of cards. So he got busted up pretty bad. The suspect in Kyoto is a 38-year-old unemployed male who allegedly made almost $11,000 in counterfeit cards between July 2015 and now. So he said to the police when he was caught that, quote, he was aware it was a crime and it was simple to do and an easy way to make money. So that's probably true and one way to confess your crimes. So, but shame on you for pirating things. And this was Mitsuki, and we're going to get back to the podcast right now.
Chiaki on Tokyo nightclubs.
So then I'm in this club, and here's the way it works with, like, the foreign guys in the clubs. They're like, I'm just kind of moving my shoulders, walking over to you, there's my penis!
Shh, it's okay. It's just my penis.
So then I decided I'm gonna dance with a Japanese guy, because I'm like, I'm in Japan, I'm in a club in Tokyo, I'm gonna dance with a Japanese guy. And Japanese guys are the best people to dance with at clubs, because they keep all the creepers away from you because you're dancing with someone. But, like, one of the big thresholds we got to when we were dancing together was he held my hand.
Guys, when dancing with Chiaki, you might want to keep it in your pants. Back to the show.
And we're back to the 448th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Which one of you lovely, beautiful people would like to lead us back in here with the intro trivia question?
So list one, Mandy.
So the question before the break was, excuse me, in the film Castle in the Sky, what primary occupation do the inhabitants of Pazu's town practice? And the answer is mining.
Mining, baby.
Mining, baby.
I can't wait to talk about Castle in the Sky and the after party.
Yeah, I actually want to know what that, because I don't think I've seen that one in theaters yet.
If it sounded like I had something in my mouth, I most certainly did.
At least she's honest, people.
Right before we came back, I stuck a pretzel in my mouth, and then we came back. I'm like, oh no, hurry, chew.
Well, you did good. You did good chewing. Yeah. So as we always do, thankfully we have a 5-star review as well.
It's time for iTunes review.
That was that, and yep. So we have a 5-star review this time coming from Salt, double S, double T on the word salt there. Subject is salt. Anyway, subject says amazingness, 5 stars, and Salt says this podcast is one that all anime fans can enjoy. I started listening about 3 months ago to keep my mind busy while mowing my yard, and now I listen to it multiple times a week. The chemistry between the hosts is very natural, and they do a great job keeping the audience entertained. I get excited every time I listen. I'm so happy to have found people who share my passions and aren't afraid to speak their minds. AA hosts, you've gained a lifelong fan. Keep up the awesome content. Hell yeah, Salt. I know you're on the Discord too. I've seen you post around. Thank you so much for listening to us. I hope that you don't listen. I hope that you don't associate the podcast with mowing your yard. I hope you listen to us whenever you have the time. Thank you so much.
All right, so we're gonna do a review on Revue Starlight, a review on Revue Starlight.
Oof.
So, yeah, and then this was also the anime, of course, that we did the panel on. So it's pretty much fresh in all of our minds, I think. But I think Mandy is the expert here, so I'm gonna let you kick it off.
Sure. So yeah, this was my pass. And Revue Starlight was adapted by Studio Kinema Citrus, who also made Made in Abyss and Barakamon.
Nice.
The director was Furukawa Tomohiro, who is also a student of Ikuhara, and that's going to be very important later on because that would be probably a giant part of the discussion. But so yeah, the story is about Karen Aijo and her childhood friend Hikari Kagura. And they made a wish when they were children that one day they would stand on the stage together, becoming theatrical stars together. And flash forward to the present, Karen is enrolled at a theatrical school, Seisho Music Academy, and she's surrounded by other girls who want to become stars one day. There's Nana, who's aka Banana.
Banana.
There's Juna and Maya and Claudine and Futaba and Karuko and Mahiro. And one day a new student is introduced to the class. And it's Hikari, the one who, her friend from childhood, she moved away when they were children to England, and now she's back in Japan in the same school. But Hikari's acting a little strange. She seems kind of cold and distant to her once best friend, and Karen is confused about her friend's coldness and decides to go check up on her one night. And she follows her, Hikari to the school, and they sneak in, or she sneaks in after her, and she comes to this elevator. And after entering it, Karen is plummeted into like I guess a basement. But for me, I think it'd be like a different realm almost because it's massive.
I consider it a different realm. There's no way that archaeologically exists. Like no one,
it's this massive
gone in there, you know?
Yeah, it's this massive stage with this giraffe watching from the audience, and on stage, Hikari is fighting with Juna. Both of the girls are wielding weapons, and they're actually fighting each other while singing. The giraffe tells Karen that they are fighting to become the top star, and the winner of the review will obtain, the starlight. Karen hates watching her friends fight and remembers her promise to Hikari that one day they would stand on the stage together. So she leaps down and stops the two from fighting. And in doing so, Karen wins the review and becomes entangled in these battles now for the top star position. And so the show alternate between slice of life moments with the characters and these review fight scenes. And the fight scenes always happen after the mysterious giraffe sends out a text message to tell who is fighting who that night. And it's gonna be really hard to talk about this without spoilers because there are some massive twists in it. Like the first episode, unless you somehow saw Ikuhara's name floating around, you kind of didn't know that was going to come up. These like fights, like stage fights at the end, because the whole first half of the episode feels very slice of life.
Yeah, it feels like a
Drama.
if you it just feels like a show about like girls that are performing that are at a performing arts school. You know, like it just feels that way. I want, if I could just like add my 2 cents from the beginning. Well, actually, first, this show is on High Dive. Disclaimer. That does not affect our opinions at all, but we'd like to let you guys know just for full transparency. So first episode, my impressions were goddamn, because as you mentioned, I didn't expect the magical essence ish of the show. Like when she went into the elevator and the way the elevator pops up, I was like, whoa, okay, this is not gonna be like a normal show, because I didn't watch any trailers beforehand or even looked at a lot of concept art beforehand. I just pressed play one time, and I personally think that first episode was really strong, because it very much so could have been a performing arts slice of life school show with these girls as the cast, and it was set up to be, and with the way that the show started, it could have been a really good one of those, I think. But the twist, although otherworldly, kind of fit really well. And then you get into that that realm where the stage fights happen, and a couple things blew my mind. I love the aesthetics. I love it. I love their wardrobe. I love how like the particles of their attacks. I love the show like forces you to accept, to bet, like it forces you to be okay with like letting go of reality. Like you're like, okay, like this is a thing, and it does this, and it like forces it upon you so heavy-handedly, but it also is just so good that you're like, yeah, like, okay, I'll watch this, because the choreography is super cool. It's super cool, and the fact that they're performing at the same time and the voice actresses are singing at the same time was awesome, and I was all for it. Like I was all for it, and I think the quality of the show doesn't suffer throughout, in terms of like choreography, in terms of songs, in terms of voice acting, in terms of like character dynamics. I think the show's pretty consistent the whole time, and that's something really hard to do, as we have seen anime, peak and then fall midway through their seasons.
Yeah, artistically, it's really impressive. The animation's quite good, and the action scenes are really engaging too. Like it is action. I mean, I guess it's kind of theater performances or whatever, but I mean, there's action happening here, and it actually has better action than a lot of shows I've seen. And I think a lot of that, it's just like it has like a certain crispness to it, and it's the quality of it is high. And so like when you're having action scenes, you want it to have high quality animation, very crisp visuals, and I think that definitely gets delivered here by this show. It definitely looks really nice, and then that's on top of all of the the extra sort of thematic stuff that the show is doing. So there's a lot of good things going on.
This also, some things to point out is it's a mixed media franchise. It's also a live stage performance, and the actresses that perform in the live stage performance are also the voice actresses for the Japanese dub, and they sing all of their songs as well. And it's also a game from Bushiroad. It's in the Japanese iTunes store. I don't know if we're ever going to get an English translation to it, but that's also available. And I guess we'll talk about Takarazuka later on, but because that's a big part of this show.
Yeah.
But man, it's bleeding Ikuhara a lot.
Yeah,
it's so much like Utena in
oh my god, a lot like Utena.
Yeah, and also Ikuhara was always very influenced by or inspired by Takarazuka. So it's interesting that Furukawa Tomohiro, I don't think he's the original writer of it, but I do think it's interesting that his student picked up something that was always such a big inspiration for Ikuhara. Like that was the the central theme of the show. But yeah, there's the very, very interesting transformation sequences that are reminiscent of Utena. The fight scenes have a very similar feel to them. It's like, this other entity is telling these two girls that you and you is going to fight at this time, and then the way you win is to unpin the cloak from your opponent. Very reminiscent of the roses and the rose battles.
It's like the exact same thing.
Rose duels. Yeah, and very surreal backgrounds, and each one during stage performances, and each one is steeped in symbolism for the characters who are currently battling one another. And something else I thought was very interesting, and we talked about this during the panel, was the interesting foreshadowing with the starlights. I thought it was very interesting because throughout almost all of the show, that was not like a close-up of a character or a close-up of something else. If it's like, a full body shot, there's always starlights hidden in the background. We were pointing them out during the panel.
Yeah.
And sometimes the positions of those would foreshadow the ending. And oh man, we're gonna have to talk about the halfway point towards the end. It's a big part of the story. It's gonna be a massive spoiler. So do you have the spoiler thing to put up on screen?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
I know we have another spoiler drop somewhere. I'll have to look for the image on this computer.
Well, if you want to watch this, I guess drop out now and come back and listen later if you haven't already this. But during halfway through it, we find out that Banana, this character, one of the girls fighting, is actually the winner of the Revue Starlight, and she, in the draft, grants her a wish, and every time she wishes to just rewind time and do it again. So they've been kind of stuck in this loop, doing the same, putting on the same performance every time, and every time she wins, and she just rewinds time again. And she feels like this is kind of saving her friends from disappointment, so they can keep performing together, and she's kind of like sacrificing herself for this. But because the theme of the show is that, ultimately the show, two stars can't be on the same level together, which goes against Karen's dreams of being on stage with Hikari. But no two stars can ever obtain the starlight together. And so if you pay attention to the starlights in the background, there's always two of them and one is always higher than the other. And it's good foreshadowing for the ending. I thought it was very interesting when you finally get to the ending and see that. I'm like, I gotcha. I see this now. But yeah, so what I was talking about with Takarazuka is an all-female troupe, in actual real life Japan.
Yeah, there's actually a town called Takarazuka near Kyoto that is known for these performances, and they have like their own theater and stuff, and it's really expensive and tough to get tickets.
For sure.
Ostensibly worth it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, traditionally women were played by men in kabuki plays. So Takarazuka was created, and originally Takarazuka was extremely competitive, and I was reading that it was actually, when it first started up, overwhelmingly patriarchal, or oh man, if I could pronounce this.
Patriarchal.
Patriarchal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the women were married off, like you were saying during the panel, a lot of women were married off to politicians. They were supposed to embody the ideals that women were supposed to be good wives and mothers. But over the years, Takarazuka ended up becoming more of an empowerment for women, because they could now perform in an environment that was predominantly male, and a lot of the roles were male roles performed by women now. And so a lot of the performances would challenge Japan's imposed ideas of sexuality and gender. And I think that really shows in Ikuhara's works that how inspired he was by Takarazuka. And Revue Starlight is all about the extremely competitive nature of these plays and how grueling the fights can be to become the top star. It's very toxic. And so Banana was always putting on a safe play. Like, she put on the play that she believed the audience wanted to keep, like, so she could keep up the status quo. And so that, you know, she didn't feel like her friends would ever be ultimately disappointed in the end. So when so there's a part when Hikari shows up and the show goes against the norm, and the giraffe is just so delighted to finally see a play worth watching because it was completely different. And I think that's really fascinating. Like, this whole show is definitely a criticism of Takarazuka and the whole, like, culture around it.
I mean, I would say it's a sort of a critique on the competitiveness of entertainment and
entertainment just in general,
and not just the entertainment industry, but I mean, any time when you're in a situation where there is a competitive role and there can only be one person that's the top dog, like whether it's movies, music, whatever, you know, these types of like aggressiveness towards other people is going to be there, and sometimes those people are your friends, you know.
100%.
And so like you could track this through like idol groups, you know, where you can just see girls that are fighting to be like the top idol. Every idol group has like a leader in the group, and so there's like a lot of different places in our culture where this type of thing stands out. So it's pretty prominent, pretty prevalent, I think. So
during the panel, we got a question. Someone asked, I mean, there is a reason for the giraffe. The giraffe does symbolize something, and I don't know if I want to spoil that. It comes up in the very final episode, like the big reveal of who the giraffe is. But somebody asked why a giraffe, and when I first asked that, I think I was taken aback because it was just kind of one of those anime things I just kind of accepted.
Yeah, I remember when Kazuo said. Kazuo was like, "Oh, this is because, like, you know, like the long neck, you know, is like the long journey to victory." And I mean,
representing ladder, but after I put some more thought into it, and I wish I would have thought this up right during the panel, I was thinking about it, and I actually thought about it on the airplane ride home because I was just replaying the panel over in my head. I was like, man, I wish I would have thought this up when somebody asked me the question, why a giraffe? And I was thinking because giraffe, the Japanese word for giraffe is kirin. The kirin are also mythological beasts that originate in China, but they are also present in China and Chinese and Japanese mythology. And they're symbols of great power. It was always believed that emperors were chosen by kirin. So I think it makes sense in that way that the top star in this extremely toxic environment would be chosen by a symbol of immense power.
Right.
And I think, they also have sort of royal attire on during these performances. I thought that was very interesting. When I thought that, I was like, dang it, why did I think of this people during the panel?
Yeah, and kirin means giraffe in Japanese.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
but there is also a mythological beast just called a kirin.
Oh, yeah, and as we know from the 12 Kingdoms.
Yeah. It's kind of like just the yokai unicorn. But, I don't know. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, I wish I would have thought that up.
And I think it's not a coincidence that like the word for giraffe is also kirin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah. That would have been.
So yeah.
Maybe that person. Sorry, maybe that person that was at the panel listens to the podcast and they got their answer.
Oh, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope they do, because honestly, I feel like if I had asked the question at the panel and Mandy answered with that, I would have been like, whoa. I would have been, my mind would have been blown.
Yeah, I was thinking about it on the plane ride home, and I was like, oh, right time. Where's my banana?
Banana. But yeah, I mean, again, like, without, going into the ending and everything, like, I really enjoyed the show. Like, I think it was refreshing to see, anime, this show seems like anime was like the final medium, aside from like the live action, obviously, because they used the medium to its full extent. They hid foreshadowing in the art. They used the medium to do like amazing choreography, choreography with singing. The set designs were really cool and like would be hard to replicate in a live action setting, you know. So I think this anime used anime to its fullest like potential, and I really enjoyed it, and the characters are all like pretty cool. Like none of them really like suck at all. Like I don't think any of them were that super annoying. Shouts out to High Dive because they have been dubbing it, and the dubbing is pretty good. I would say it's a really good job. Yeah, so I'm ready to score if you guys are
Oh,
ready
I
to
had
score.
critiques.
Oh, you have critiques. I forget
Yeah.
we do this.
Well, I did enjoy the show. There were things that kept it from being like an amazing show for me. First of all, I had a really hard time pinpointing why, because after I watched the show, I was still not like, this is a 10 out of 10. I don't know, it felt like there's something missing. I think it came down to the characters themselves. For me, I did not attach myself to any of them. They still felt a little hollow to me towards the
I feel
end.
you. Yeah, that's why like what I just said. Like I agree with you because, because although none of them sucked or like, and they were all pretty okay. To me, I also didn't. I still don't feel attached thinking back to any of the characters whatsoever.
Because I watched it week to week. I watched it as it's airing, and then I was refreshing myself before a panel. And right when I was starting my work on the panel, I thought, man, none of them still really are stuck in my head. There weren't any that really stood out to me. And I think I really appreciated the show and I like the message behind it, but I feel like the message was the focus of the show and not the characters themselves. And also, they had a lot of production issues. In the production notes, it starts off great. Like, the animation's fantastic in the beginning, but towards the end of the series, you can see they really started having issues. They weren't even sure if the episodes were going to make it out in time. There were janky animation towards the end. It really started suffering towards the end of the series. And I think the other thing I wrote down was that a lot of symbolism was very right smack on the nose. It was it was not subtle at all. But overall, I mean, I did really enjoy it. But of course, it's not like a 10 out of 10 for me. But
So then what would it be?
Yeah, what would it be?
Why don't you go first? Because I'm debating.
Sure. For me, I think Revue Starlight is a solid 3.5 out of 5. Like a really, really solid 3.5 out of 5. And and this is probably one of the more, like non-objective type like score I've given, because this one is coming from like the Mitsuki approach of how much I enjoyed the show, and like I did enjoy it, and all the pluses of this show are in the fight scenes, in the art of the fight scenes, in the choreography and the music, and I truly did love all of that. And I would even say that the story of competition is always enticing to me. However, as Manny pointed out, the characters were kind of just, they were there to do their job in the show. And honestly, like I enjoyed the show, but like I also didn't like, I don't know. I just like I felt not fully satisfied. I feel like the story could have had more weight to it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe 3.5 is a little harsh, but like for
Stick to your
4,
guns.
no. But like for me, like a 4 is a show that I walked away with at least saying like, damn, that was awesome. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, wow, I would definitely watch that again with a friend. But at the moment, I don't really feel like any need to rewatch Revue. I would recommend it to people though. It's a solid watch. It's a really solid watch. So I'll stay to the 3.5.
Yeah, to not repeat everything that I said, I really enjoyed the show, but of course, if something's bothering me, I'm going to critique it, of course. But, man, I was debating between a 3.5 or a 4. I still really enjoyed it because it felt very fresh to me. And yeah, I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Not perfect, but it was still, I really enjoyed it though.
I am not going to score it because I didn't watch enough of it. I don't think it's really fair. So, but we do round up, so that would round up to a 4. So because
Cool,
we're nice,
I'm glad.
because we're nice. So we're gonna round up. And with that, are we closing the review on Revue Starlight?
Mm-hmm.
You can say it's been
4 bananas out of 5.
reviewed.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag. If you want to submit a mailbag, you can do it at the same place you would submit a Enzo Senpai Notice Me Corner, which is on the website, AAAPodcast.com. On the top, there's a mailbags and more button where you can submit all sorts of things, including mailbags. So, first mailbag is from Charlie from Canada, and I'm going to read it. It's pretty long, and honestly, this could be, I debated making this a topic, but I think we're just going to do it here. As you guys, as a longtime listener, this is mainly from Mitsugi, as I know he won't hold back his opinion to risk offending anyone, which is always great. Do you feel the pervy lowly shows that release every season are holding anime back? ? I am embarrassed to open Crunchyroll sometimes around my family and definitely avoid it if I have friends over because an 8-year-old looking girl could be on the video thumbnail on the popular tab in a bathing suit looking creepy as hell. I find it so embarrassing I won't watch Crunchyroll in public like when I was stuck waiting at the airport. As an anime fan, I know you just have to deal with stuff like this from time to time and ignore it. However, even without watching the overtly lowly shows, you occasionally see a questionable scene or two in an otherwise good show. Do you feel the benefits of the income generated for the industry by these shows from their dedicated fans is worth it, or do you think that the negative associations generated by these shows is holding anime back from even more mainstream acceptance and potential earnings? If you could, would you banish these shows to the anime pit of hell? It's a really good mailbag, actually, and it's a really tough question.
Do you want to go first? Or I can go if you want.
Go ahead.
So from a writing towards the better stories perspective, I do think that pervy lowly shows do hold people back because if they do generate money, then it's the lazy way to go. And I say lazy not in a harsh way; it's just the easier route to take, right? Like the amount of thinking and effort that goes into writing a show that is centered around pervy lowly moments is not as intricate and require the amount of craftsmanship to write a story with like crazy drama and epic, suspense and stuff like that. So in that sense, I do think so. I don't want to tackle, Charlie, your sentiments about finding it embarrassing to open Crunchyroll in public. I think I know what you're talking about, but for example, when I have friends over, and I open up Crunchyroll, like sometimes like the kind of thumbnails you're talking about are on the forefront of the app or any streaming service I'm watching. If there's that thumbnail present, I like if it gets pointed out, I just kind of like say things like, anime is really weird sometimes. I don't really watch those shows, like or whatever, something like that. If you feel the need to defend yourself, but like what I want to say is that my friends don't question at all me about that kind of stuff anyway, because in the end, like if you own your passion, if you really own it, and then you won't really feel embarrassed to open up any anime thing, unless it's hentai, then you should really be tactful with that. You won't feel the embarrassment that I think you're feeling. Like as long as you open it, and if someone says like, dude, like, oh, what's with that 10-year-old girl there in that weird situation, you'd be like, yeah, dude, that show is really weird. I don't know, man. Like that's all you gotta say. That's all you really gotta say. So like, own what you love, bro. Don't feel embarrassment. Like that all anime is not like that. So yeah,
this is a super tough question. Personally, I feel like the anime industry loses a lot of potential for creativity and for sort of exploring unexplored ideas, because they settle for the same sorts of stuff all the time.
Right.
And so you're not getting something new or something interesting. You're just getting another lowly show. And so that's a pretty disappointing thing in a way. You know, that kind of thing would kill a lot of industries. I don't know how anime continues to proliferate the way it does when it just keeps recycling the same shit all the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
If movies, TV shows, like no one else could. So I feel like no one else could withstand this the way that anime has for years and years now. It's been like a decade or more now. But to say that you'd make more money without the lowly shows, like, is it holding anime back from making more money or to having a bigger fan base? I can't really say for certain, but I would say that is probably not the case. That's just my hunch, and the reason for that is that, once again, Japan, and by Japan I mean all the anime studios that make up the anime industry, they still don't really care about us. They don't. The vast majority of their money comes from Japan. So and they're making a lot of money off of these shows in Japan, and I don't know what the anime industry would look like if you just all of a sudden said, okay, no more lowly shows. Like, I don't know what you would replace it with, and I don't know what the current fans of anime would say about that. So I know there'd be a lot of complaining about like censorship and things like that for sure. So
yeah, agreed.
As there's already complaints about that from like various manga artists about, you know, outlawing various types of content. So
yeah,
I don't have an answer for you. If it were up to me, again, I would say let's consolidate the anime industry and make less shows, and let's make like maybe 2 lowly shows a season instead of 17, and then rather than having 50 anime a season, let's have 18 of them. That would be what I would want. Rather than having 850 shows where 15 of them are lowly stuff, where you're embarrassed to turn on Crunchyroll, which I totally get, by the way. Let's do 18 shows and let's make 2 of them lowly. And that kind of feels, because then you're still satisfying the people that want to watch that shows. I mean, but you have more quality and you have more room for other interesting things as well. But I don't know. I don't have an answer. It's too difficult. Yeah, I need to be a swami, and if I was that, I'd be rich.
Yeah, we need like a lot of data to answer that question correctly.
Yeah, I mean, the lolly shows, not that I'm supporting them, but the characters do open up the opportunity for merchandise, which is probably why there's so many of them. Like, because now you can get to see this cute character in this outfit, and this outfit, and this outfit, and collect all of them. But Rakugo doesn't get any figures.
I mean,
so yeah.
The unfortunate thing of it is that, like, anime
they're necessary. It's a necessary evil.
If you took out the lowly merchandise, if you took out the lowly merchandise, again, I don't know what the shows would be that would replace those shows, and so
yeah,
I don't know. And by the way, I think lowly is a really loose term, by the way. So
definitely over the last few years for sure.
So Charlie's definition of that could totally be different than mine or Enzo's or Mandy's or anybody else. So yeah. I don't know what shows would replace these shows in terms of merchandise. What I will say is that I sort of don't like that anime whores itself out every day, because when you watch a show with a little girl that's like 8 years old wearing like a bikini or something, and then you go buy an anime figure, you're buying porn. I mean, I know people just think pornography is like boobs and nipples and butts, but that isn't true. It is pornography, like to like. It just is, and there's a lot of things that should be considered pornography that aren't sex. And in a way, actually, I think that these shows are sex, which I think is a bigger, completely different.
Oh, okay. Moving on.
Well, I mean, are we gonna pretend that a portion of fans of these shows aren't watching them because they like seeing the little girls and like the questionable situation? Because
that's the dark side.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just giving you. I'm like a head trip to listen to, because I'm only giving you things you joke about with your friends inside your living room. Right? No one wants to hear that, but I'll tell you because I know it's true. So like, I don't like the fact that anime is like that they're making money off of figures of like underage girls. Like, to me that feels dirty. But I don't know what they'd
sure.
replace it with. Is
Yeah.
it Mecha? Is it battle mages? I don't know what the hell. I just
It's
don't.
true. I think that's where the perspective between like what we perceive and what Japan perceives, that's where it kicks in. Because I mean, I know that underage stuff is like that's also like illegal, I think, in Japan, but I also feel like we're way harsher on that in America. So that's probably
Oh, for sure. I don't think they care.
Oh, I totally don't think they care, and they're not going to care no matter what we say or
Right,
whatever
that's what I'm
anybody else
saying.
says. So, anyway, moving on. Next mailbag.
You should read this one.
Oh, good luck.
Oh, okay.
Coco
Pops 89 writes, "Hello, AAA hosts. First thing, love the podcast. Been listening since around the time Kazuo started. My question is, whatever happened to the mobile app you guys are working on?"
Oh my god.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
All right, so I've been asked this question a lot. We lost a lot of money in trying to make that mobile app. Believe it or not, I was actually trying to make like a real app that would be useful for everybody. And for lack of a better word, like we got robbed. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Heck.
So, yeah.
I remember being a
basically.
listener and being excited for the app too. That's unfortunate.
And the guy that scammed us was really good at it, by the way. He was really good. He actually had like a functioning app working. So he basically dragged out the project to the time frame in which you can't challenge it anymore via PayPal. PayPal makes you sign contracts and stuff like that with big projects. But like if the project's been going on for like past a certain time frame, then they won't go back and like go after the guy anymore. And he knew what that time frame was, waited until that time frame, and then dipped out. But like was very convincing up until that point. So
damn.
It was really
to that guy.
Yeah, he was good at it for sure.
He was good.
He was good at it. Like I have the app icon on my phone. Like I was actually listening to the podcast through an app. Like it was working. But yeah, the reality is that to make the app that I wanted to make, I got quoted like as much as $20,000. So,
from like a legit
from like a
Yeah.
a big company in like London was like $20,000. I'm like, well, we don't have that.
dude.
We don't got
like,
$20,000.
No, I definitely don't have $20,000 as well. I love the podcast. I love it to death, but I don't love it for $20,000.
Yeah. Anyway, next mailbag.
Yeah, the next one is from Gabumon. Hello, AAA. Long-time listener here since the OG host. We're returning from Japan. Anyways, I'm getting married sometime next year, and I have been thinking about what piece of music to play on the big day. Oh my god. Wow. So let me ask you, the host, which piece of anime-related music would you play on your big day? Holy cow, what a question. Basically, low-key asking for a recommendation for myself. Lol. Ha. P.S. Okay, Mitsuki, you can do the last part after we discuss.
Well, I just
Did you read the last one?
Yeah, I read it. So I just watched the Castle in the Sky movie, and I think I cried like every single time they played the theme song to Castle in the Sky, because it's one of my favorite Ghibli themes, and it's just a really it's called Carrying You, which by the way is by itself kind of like enough to make you cry in a way. But like I really did cry. It wasn't just a little bit, it was almost sloppy like in the theater. It was pretty bad. Like that's a really beautiful piece, and it's very soft and very, very appropriate and suitable for a wedding. So, and there's other Ghibli themes too that are like that, but this one in particularly is just beautiful. And it's so that'd be my recommendation. Carrying You,
Yeah,
Kimi
agreed.
no Sete from Castle in the Sky.
Agreed. I don't have it on the top of my head, unfortunately, but I would also say like dig around with the Ghibli stuff, because they have a way with music that is just not common. Like they really get you there. I would also I don't remember what the soundtrack for, oh my god, what anime is this, for The Great Passage was, but I feel like that had really good music in it too. I forget.
I'm gonna plug my favorite anime. So Natsume has a lot of really, but Natsume Yujin Cho season 6 ending is so pretty, and I love it, and you should try it out. It's by Rei Yasuda, Reiyasuda. And the song is Kimi no Uta, and it's so pretty. It'd be a good song to like dance.
Your
to.
song.
It's really pretty.
Your Song by Elton John.
Yeah, well that's
Yeah,
what
I know.
that's Kimi no Uta.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, it
That-
is?
That's what it means
Yeah,
in Japanese.
That's what it means.
Oh.
Or in English, that's what it means. Anything, Enzo, or are we gonna end this very long episode?
Yeah, no, I honestly don't have anything good to come to mind.
Okay, guys, so we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for listening, of course. Again, our website's AAAPodcast.com. For those of you that gave up on the website in the last month because it wasn't working well, it is working well now. So go back and please check it out. You can get all your Hobby Addicts, your hentai episodes, your after parties. Everything is on there and working. You can see what we're doing for the next 4 weeks of the podcast. You can play trivia. You can see what the animes are that we passed each season. You can write mailbags. You can join our Discord. There's all kinds of stuff you can do on there. So definitely check out the website. You can help out the podcast and contribute to us. I don't know, maybe in 75 years we'll have enough money to make that mobile app if people keep helping us out.
Yeah.
So AAAPodcast.com/join is where you go to help out the podcast and where you go to get your hentai episodes and your Hobby Addicts and all that. So we're also on Discord, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Why don't you guys go ahead and plug your Twitters real quick, and then I'm going to wrap it up with the theme song.
Totally. You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at EnzoBadia, ENZOBADIA. Follow me. I'm way more active on Twitter now. I've learned the ways, and my Instagram is still where I post the cooler stuff of my life. So see you there.
I am on Twitter at AAA_Mandy, Mandy with I. And yeah, you can come and check out my nerdy tweets about video games and anime and stuff and manga.
And if you want to snuggle me, you can snuggle me at SNUGGLE 4 EVR. So check us out. Check me out there on Twitter. And until next time, we'll see ya.
See ya, guys. Love you.